Good evening, everybody. How's it going? We have some new updates from that small law firm in central Minnesota. How's it going? It's me, non-practicing, non-lawyer, Josh. Not that Josh, though. But we got a good night tonight. It might be a bit shorter, but it's going to be a fun week, I think. I'll tell you what's coming up after these cars go past and make a lot of noise. Now we'll get right into this. You know what? We'll do a little bit of a warm-up, a quick warm-up topic before we get into the April document, and then we'll get into the omnibus and a couple of clips that I've found throughout the week. Bad news for everyone that was following the case of from DDP versus Stiller. This is Benjamin Stiller. He has been accused and convicted of murdering Dwayne Johnson. This is a real article, by the way, but it's not the one you think it is. Criminal law sentence. Shooting a victim with a shotgun. Introduction. Benjamin Stiller, you have been found guilty by a jury following the trial of a murder of a young Indigenous man named Dwayne Johnson. It's not Dwayne Johnson, I should clarify. It's Dwayne Johnson, whom you shot in the chest from the close range of a shorn-off shotgun, 12 gauge. Mr. Johnson was only 26 years old at the time of his death. No, not that Ben Stiller in The Rock. They're completely unrelated. It's just a crazy instance of internet funniness. This is from the Supreme Court of Australia, so maybe you can talk to Aussie Overlord about that. All right. Should we go straight into this, or I was looking at the YouTube member thing, by the way, because people always ask me like for the new emojis. And I got the ceiling cat emoji, and I got the dog face emoji, but we need a lot more members if you want to unlock them, or we could vote out some old emojis. So let me know what you think, and maybe we'll get the kitty emoji in first, and then we'll see what other ones we can get in. I actually even have a new overlay for that as well. There we go. So to warm up the evening, we'll start. I guess now we'll go straight into we'll go straight into April's documents, and then we'll go into a little bit of gossip, and then we'll go into next documents, and then we'll go into some reactions and things. Get rid of the pickle. I could see getting rid of the pickle. I could see getting rid of the 3.5, maybe one of the Pepes. We could do that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Keep pickle. It was, damn it. There you go. All right. State of Minnesota. County of Kandiyohi. April Imholte versus the state of Minnesota. The defendant, April Imholte, or Imholte, whatever it is, through her attorney, Thomas C. Gallinger, and pursuant to Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure 11.03, hereby moves to dismiss the complaint. This motion is based on the files, records, and proceedings herein and on the following grounds. The complaint does not comply with Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure 2.01. The complaint fails to allege facts amounting to probable cause to believe that an offense was committed. The complaint fails to establish probable cause to believe that the defendant committed an offense. I mean, apart from the coke being on her credit cards. But I guess there's just no evidence. It's all just random bags. Who can say? The complaint fails. Oh, I read that part. Further moves the court pursuant to the 5th and 6th Amendments of the United States Constitution for an order dismissing the complaint for lack of sufficiency, or, in the alternative, requiring the government to furnish defendant with a bill of particulars. Rule 2.01 of the Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure sets forth the content requirements. The content, even in the court, they need the content. Content requirements for complaints. Minnesota Criminal Procedure Subdivision 1 states, the complaint is written signed statement of the facts establishing probable cause to believe that the charged offense has been committed and that the defendant committed it, except as modified by Rule 6.01, Subdivision 4. The probable cause statement can be supplemented by supporting affidavits, statements signed under penalty of perjury pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 358.116, or by a sworn witness testimony taken by the issuing judge. The complaint must specify the offence charged, the statute allegedly violated, and the maximum penalty. The complaint must also conform to the Rules 17.02. And then the comment to Rule 2. Bob says, there's no evidence of drugs except for the drugs in my house and the video of it with me on my face. Yeah, it's clown world over here. But I mean, they've got to give it a little bit of a chance, right? Potentially criminal in chat. How's it going, Sean? It says, this is what a well-drafted complaint looks like. Well, yeah, because it's not drafted by Nick, we can assume. So it's actually the first time in these entire proceedings that I'm reviewing a proper legal document. But thank you for the two, Sean, and hope you're doing very well for you. Because the complaint is accessible to the public and documents supporting the statement of probable cause can contain irrelevant material that is injurious to innocent third persons as well as material prejudicial to the defendant's rights to a fair trial. It is recommended that the statement be drafted containing the facts establishing probable cause in or with the complaint, and that irrelevant material be omitted. The complaint alleges a criminal violation of felony possession of a controlled substance, 5th degree, Minnesota statute 152.025, subdivision 2-1, I guess, and contains 2.5-page statement of probable cause, alleging various facts to be true. The defendant's name is mentioned only 5 times in the statement of the probable cause. 1, located in the home. 2, located in the master bedroom. 3, 2 credit cards listed to Imholte, covered in coke. But she couldn't possibly have been doing anything. That's just beggars belief. How could that ever happen? Imholte's purse was located in the hallway inside the master bedroom. How do you have a hallway inside your master bedroom? Wouldn't that be outside? Or is it just like the massive Baldo Manor? I don't know. I haven't actually seen the layout of Nick's house. I've only had a look at his secondary house. And I tell you, I'm not sure I want to see another one. I certainly can't see any more bathrooms. Leading to the attached... Oh, no, I see. So there's the hallway. I guess I should have finished that sentence. There's a hallway that leads from the master bedroom to the prison bathroom where Sonny lives. Hashtag free Sonny, or SS for short. Nicholas Rekieta indicated that Imhotep was at the house visiting. She's been visiting for a very long time. We actually have an update of that because Nick went to go see the Hollywood H, not in LA, but this is in Minnesota. But I've got a little bit of a conspiracy theory for you. We'll see if you enjoy that. But interestingly, somebody else was spotted at the Hollywood H. Oh, look at that. Interesting. Seems like she's been over for the longest time. In fact, she's still there. Interesting. The statute requires unlawful possession, but the complaint does not allege fact to be true that defendant unlawfully or otherwise possessed illegal drugs. It only says that she was a guest in someone else's house, and a guest, I guess, around someone's husband, when police executed a search warrant and found illegal drugs. Accordingly, since the complaint contains no factual substitution or probable cause, it must be dismissed. Probable cause exists when a person of ordinary care and prudence, viewing the totality of the circumstances objectively, would entertain an honest and strong suspicion that a specific individual has committed a crime. State versus Ortega. A person's mere proximity to criminal activity does not in of itself establish probable cause to arrest. Oh, okay. I mean, that sounds pretty reasonable. Again, there were her credit cards, which is a bit of a stretch. Since the complaint makes no allegation that the defendant possessed any illegal drugs, but merely that she was present in the same house, it should be dismissed for lack of probable cause. Fifth and Sixth Amendment requires a complaint sufficiently apprise the defendant of what he must be prepared to meet. Russell versus United States. The complaint provides insufficient information to allow the defendant to form a defense and should be dismissed. At minimum, she is entitled to a bill of particulars ordering the government to clarify the charges with details sufficient to her to understand and respond to them. A bill of particulars serves to inform the defendant of the nature of the charges against him with sufficient precision to enable him to prepare for, should that be her? But, you know, him or her, I guess it doesn't matter. To prepare for trial, to avoid or minimize the danger of surprise at trial. Yes, yes. There's only surprises in the bedroom, no surprises in the courtroom. And I should say that Eat Monkeys What joined as a new member. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. And also Cindy Collins dropped 5 memberships. Much appreciated. You can show your, I guess, the bleach emoji in chat, because that's what you need to clean Nick's house and his bathrooms. But thank you very much for the support so far. Now, where were we? I think we're at this one, State versus Hernandez. No. I think we're here. The district court, in its discretion, may order the government to provide requested additional detail where the particulars set out in the complaint fail sufficiently to apprise the defendant of the charges to enable him to prepare a defense. United States versus Garrett. The complaint alone will be sufficient when the elements of the offense are delineated and the general statement is accompanied by the specific facts constituting the offense. It is axiomatic that a defendant is entitled to know what behavior is alleged to constitute the offense he is charged with. And ordering bill of particulars detailing the elements of the 3 courts and the specific facts establishing those offenses. The defendant, for this reason, respectfully requests the court to grant her a motion to dismiss the complaint for a lack of probable cause. Yeah, overall, this seems like a pretty good document. Makes some great arguments, but there is just that one tricky one. Yes, there is that one tricky one. The credit cards listed to April. So we're to believe that she wasn't partaking of this possession, but she was in there, in the master bedroom, with her purse preventing Sonny from escaping the bathroom, her credit cards out on the table, covered in coke. That is a little bit of that's going to be a tricky one to explain, but I'm sure they can find some creative ways to make it work for her. Now, for April, it's very important, actually, that she get her charges dismissed because, well, it's important for her, but it's also very important for Nick. Because if he wants to remove that one little nagging thing, which is April, she could squeal at any time, and that's very dangerous to his case. The court could offer her a plea if this is not going through. So I guess that Nick has got to keep her happy at least until this is dismissed, or hopefully it is for her sake, I suppose. But we'll have to see. Now let's go to some wild and crazy conspiracy theories, because I know that's what everybody loves. But be sure to like the stream if you have not. Is she alleging that Nick and Kayla stole her credit cards? She doesn't have to allege anything. She's just saying that they've got no proof that she was doing the drugs, or that she was possessing the drugs, really, it should be in this case. And that she was merely a guest. Maybe she put her purse down. It's not really on her to say, I suppose. But just needs to put in reasonable doubt, essentially. I mean, she could just say, Your Honor, look at Kayla and Nick. Of course they're going to steal my credit cards. Just look at them. They're starving. Excumer, with his member chat for the month, says, imagine the content if you buy the house next door. That is a cursed house. What do you think is more cursed, that house or the sonotube medallion that Nick owns? Because there's evil in both of those items. Anyway, let's go over to this little Instagram post we have by Mr. Nicholas Rekieta. He says, pretty amazing to see the H from the original Hollywood Land. It says Hollywood Land sign. I guess is that the technical name for it? That's stupid, but okay. A lot of American culture and history is infused into this structure. Fantastic night with great people. Okay. So some people at first thought, well, that's crazy. Did he go down to LA and abandon the kids to go hang out with, say, Dax or something? But no, this is actually in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities, as I understand it. There was another post by another somebody that says, oh, look at that. It's April. Look at that. She says, spent the evening with good people, admiring art and seeing the original H from the Hollywood sign. Had to share their stunning dress, thankful for the good moments with lovely human beings. Well, I can see multiple things that are wrong with this statement, particularly spending the evening with good people, but they're people that she deserves to be spending time with. Now, Kiwi Farms is very quick to make fun of her dress. I think this is a fine dress. How would you guys rate this dress out of 1 to 10? Apparently, they were like searching for, I don't know, like Shein or something. And like, this is a $50 dress. It's falling apart. It turns out that Aaron bought this for her. But I think it's a fine dress. It's like fine. It's just like an edgy artsy dress. It's a 1, trailer 4, looks like a trash bag. Save Sunny. 7. I don't know. Like, this is like a 6 out of 10 or something. Come on now. Tattoos look trashy. Well, I agree with you there. But anyway, I should get into what is interesting about this and what is the conspiracy theory. Now, there is no evidence for this whatsoever. This is all just a wild theory, a game theory perhaps. But the idea is that this was an art expedition / fundraiser with ticketed entry prices. Now, the price we don't know, or even if there was a price, but it seems that Nick in the past has gone to many of these art kind of charity events. And the question is, how much was it? Was it 1,000? Was it 5,000? Was it 10,000? We don't know. If it was 10,000, which is a pretty high number, but if it's like from a rich artsy person, charity gala sort of thing, perhaps, never know. And 3 people went there, even though we only have pictures of 2 in the throuple. What's that, 20,000? Maybe 30,000 if Kayla goes too? How much was it for that locals gift? What did Nick say? It was going to be 40K, but he can't afford it because he's spending so much money on his Monty defamation case. It seems like he's got enough money to go out to these art charity events and spend thousands of dollars on like little fun little evenings out and about. Now, maybe it was all free. I don't know. Maybe it was all just free food, free drinks, and everything. Oh, she's already carrying her shoes. Look at that. I just noticed that in the details. That's not a good look. Not a good look at all. But again, it's not anything that I have proof for. It's just a little bit of a theory. And I also had another theory. Maybe I should ask Aaron about this. I'm kind of curious to know. Because Nick spends a lot of money on art. He said that his Joker painting was like tens of thousands of dollars. Perhaps someone have suggested even 40 to 50,000 or something like crazy like that. Yeah, maybe tax-free even. Who knows? I wonder if the trust fund that he has an allowance, a certain yearly allowance for charitable / donation events. That wouldn't surprise me because his grandparents were very charitable people. They gave away hundreds, well, not hundreds, but like they gave away tens of millions of dollars. So my only understanding of his trust fund at the moment is that it's per child. But I wonder if Aaron knows any details about the trust fund. And is there a set, say, like, you get to spend $50,000 a year on the local arts and supporting your community sort of thing. Again, I have no evidence for this. I have no proof for this. It's just a crazy harebrained theory that I came up with for myself. You can judge me for that as you so wish. And now we also have a word of wisdom, a moment of Zen even, from Nick himself. Let's see what Nick's saying. This is from the vaults. 30 seconds. Let's see what he says.
Into a polyamorous situation. It's a
bit quiet.
Which I find polyamorous situations to be degenerate and disgusting and terrible. I think they're awful for anything. Look, if you want to bang multiple people at once, that's fine. If you
I can't make it louder. Sorry.
Committed relationship, I don't think that poly is the way to go. That's been my position on poly forever. You want to screw up that relationship, go ahead.
Interesting, wise words. Degenerate, disgusting behavior. I mean, he's true. He's right. He's right in this moment. Interesting that, like, when he used to, it is a little bit interesting, right? When he had the, the Blue Space Marine boys, when he was on the Emperor's side, he believed that polyamory was degeneracy and disgusting. But then the Emperor pictures disappeared. The Imperium of Man pictures disappeared. And suddenly, he's a servant of chaos, even identifying himself as the Chaos Lord in their group chats. Very interesting, I thought. Let me see. All right, so we're about to get into Nick's Omnibus hearing transcript. And, but first, before we get into that, we'll just move that to the back for a moment. Let us see what Nick said about the trial or the Omnibus hearing. And he was responding to someone that was talking about the case. He says, dude, he knew he was not watching my video, in regards to Officer Pomplum, I believe it was, who used the Cog Life video as allegedly for the evidence that was required to obtain the search warrant. He told the judge he was watching my video. The mere act of downloading and re-uploading the video changes the file due to compression. Well, it's not wrong, but does it change the content? And then this is a very serious pinch and zoom argument, but he's very serious about the compression. And I stole this meme. Video compression, but compression D's nuts in my baldo. That's some good shit right there. All right. He is right, though. It does change the file size a little bit. It does change the pixels a little bit, but it doesn't change the content typically. But that would require a video editor. The mere act of downloading and re-uploading a video changes the file due to compression. We don't even need to argue how much it changes, but it also could have several other edits, color grading, added effects, etc. It could have a slimy cog watermark. Who can say? Who can say? Actually, I don't know. I've never seen Cog's one. I've never seen the Cog live vision, because I was watching it live. I remember that. That was like, oh my goodness, that was how many months ago? It must have been at least 77 days ago. But I would assume it would be 77 days and 2 weeks. But I remember I was at the gym. I know some people don't believe me, but I was watching it happen live because it was so funny from the very outset. He was drunk from the very beginning. But I was watching it live at least. Yes, it was 4040404. I don't think Cog does any color grading. But I guess the argument here is that if the color grading was changed, then maybe like the light reflection would make something look more powdery. I don't necessarily agree, though, because I do a lot of color grading myself. Added effects, etc. All that could happen. He knowingly did not verify that it didn't happen and instead told the judge he watched mine. Any of those edits and even the normal compression issues due to a re-upload raise the possibility that what he thinks he saw isn't factually accurate. His duty to inform the judge of the possibility that he watched it isn't even an accurate representation. Instead, he lied. Hashtag he lied. Oh my goodness. Good thing that Nick has never lied. That's very nice. This is a very rude comment. When Mim says gym, he means a lot of PS5's grannies' bedrooms. First of all, well, actually, there are a lot of grannies in Japan, I suppose. But we just get PS5s like handed out to us over here because we make the PS5s over here. In fact, that's what I do all day. I just make PS5s. Anyway, so Nick had a theory after. Well, he had a impression. He had a 2-3 hour cope stream after his omnibus hearing with Dax, where he talked about how the judge was furious about how the officer lied on his probable cause affidavit. We're about to read it for ourselves. Remember, we did see the report from the Kiwis, the Kiwi Farms Away Team, or the KFAT, and then we saw from the regular FAT, Ethan Ralph, his reports. And I've actually got one of Ethan Ralph's little segments here, actually. And he isn't even able to take his own notes correctly. That's a little bit of a fun little segue. When we get to it, we'll get to it. But anyway, let us get into the omnibus hearing transcript. It's pretty short. It might be a shorter stream tonight. We'll see. We'll see. So the state of Minnesota versus Nicholas Robert Rekieta, defendant. The above entitled matter came on for hearing before the Honorable Stephen Wenzel, judge of the District Court, on August 21st, 2024, at the Kandiyohi County Courthouse in Wilmar, Minnesota. Appearances. Kristen Pierce and Jordan Engler, assistant county attorneys, appeared on behalf of the plaintiff. That is the government. Francis White, attorney at law, appeared on behalf of the defendant. Yes, Mr. White. Now, Mr. White himself, I've learned some interesting details about him, which I'll tell you in just a moment. But then also Nicholas Robert Rekieta, the defendant, was personally present. Also, April was there, and of course, Kayla was there as well as some Kiwi farmers, as well as some reporters, I would assume, and of course, Ethan Ralph of the illustrious Kill Stream. Now, if you've been watching Sean's streams, he goes on to talk that he thought that the court mandated, was it Miss Weber, that Nick was very critical of, the one that didn't raise the objection, and Nick had to object himself in court, which is very embarrassing for him, as it is hybrid representation. But while Nick was making fun of Miss Weber, I believe her name was, he found this Francis White character. Who is Francis White? Well, it may interest you. It may get the noggin jogging a little bit. That Francis White was first detected in locals. Call me Nick. Call me Nick. Yes, that's right. It turns out that Mr. Francis White was a subscriber to both Nick prior to the events of his case, and also one Mr. Robert Barnes. Interesting. So we get a bit of an idea of why Nick likes Mr. Francis White, because he agrees with everything that him and Robert Barnes say. I have another screenshot here that says, this is before the trial on May 28th. So this is just 4 days after Nick's arrest, I believe. He says they've set a contested omnibus for the August 20th, 2024 at 2:45 p.m. This is absurd. I've handled criminal proceedings in Kandiyohi County, and I've handled contested omnibi. 2:45 in the afternoon does not give you nearly enough time, because the contested omnibus presumes that there will be a probable cause challenge and that the testimony will be taken. Typically, they schedule a regular omnibus before they schedule the contested omnibus, because testimony is not always necessary. Now, the entire omnibus hearing only lasted like 30 minutes. It was very short. So I don't know, maybe 2:45 in the afternoon is probably enough. But I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Another thing that doesn't make sense is that a felony requires a Rule 8 appearance unless the Rule 5 appearance and the Rule 5 appearance were combined. That does not seem to be the case, because no plea seems to have been entered. Strange things are afoot in Wilmar, Minnesota. Strange things. Like conspiracy, perhaps? Who can say? And then also there's the call me Nick. So this is how he found his dream lawyer from locals. I mean, I guess he was a local. That makes sense. Did I catch the guys publishing the judge's phone number? I heard about that, but I didn't know who it was. I didn't see the tweet myself. There's been a lot of tweets being deleted recently, such as this tweet from Ethan Ralph, which was very funny. So after Ethan wasted his time going to Minnesota for 30 minutes so that he could drop his nuts when the Steel Toe Morning Crow showed up and pressed him in real life, he was like, no, I'm not Ethan Ralph. But he had his little fun. He had his little lunch at the Rekieta's restaurant or wherever they went. And he got his little photo pic, and he's a new member. He's the 4th Beatle now. But he had to fly back to Mexico, where he lives. And he got a little bit drunk on the way there. And let me see. I want to know if there's any code breakers in the chat that can tell me what he's actually saying here. It starts off all right, but let's go through this masterpiece of a tweet. He deleted this, which is why I have to use this screenshot. Strip clubs are a waste of time. See tittles and pussy at home. But the siren call hits me sometimes. Had some time to kill. It was mostly good, but they always readily Ellie up sled up. I'm OPY getting uploaded, and if I get what I want. So, while we have a conversation, it's asinine. A lot of double on cig and everything else. He grants by cigarette and tried to grab my BG. Would javelin be possible, but life ending? Sorry. Oh, and they were aware of the supposed slub wet something one worth things. BI were working trying to swiggy through gug my umber window lamol. I don't know. When I saw this, it just reminded me of that like Garfield comic, you know, the one where it's like, why do they call it oven if you off in the hot food, off out, eat the food? I have no idea what he's saying. Was he drunk? Yes, he actually said that he was drunk. But it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. All right, back to the court documents. Sorry, a little bit of a segue, a little bit of a little Ethan Ralph adventure segue. It's always a fun time. All right, so we have the players in the court. Whereupon the following proceedings were duly had. The court will call court file, and then they have next case number. State of Minnesota versus Nicholas Rekieta, who does appear with attorney Francis White, Kristen Pierce, and Jordan Engler on behalf of the state. The matter is set for an omnibus hearing here today. Mr. White, did you have some contested issues today? Yes, Your Honor, we have some contested issues. Okay, I would ask that you remain seated since we can pick you up on the mic. Mic much better. No problem, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. If I may, it may please the court. On Sunday, we filed a motion asking for this court to strike all evidence, to suppress all evidence. that was collected under the warrant. We based our motion on the two-pronged test in Franks, a case with which I'm sure the court is very familiar. Under Franks, there is a requirement that the statement that was made by the reporting officer was false or in reckless disregard. Well, it seems like Mr. Francis White is a little bit nervous here or something, because he makes a few mistakes and he stutters a bit, but I mean, so do I, so who can blame him, right? So he said here that was the statement that was made by the reporting officer was false or in reckless disregard, but then he says regard, correcting himself, disregarded of the truth, and that the statement was material. As I indicated in the motion that we filed, I believe that both the ... the legs upon which Deputy Pomplum, I believe is his name, based his motion or based his request to the court, I believe both of these are faulty. As I pointed out in the first ... in the first instance for the in the first instance for the dead air, for the warrant, he based that on hearsay, which I concede is admissible. But hearsay from the reporting official who, dead air, a mandatory reporter who reported something to another officer, that other officer, Sergeant Nestor, forwarded that information to Kandiyohi County Health and Human Services, CPS, and CPS rejected that. The letter that I submitted as an exhibit in MDS clearly shows that the ... that the first ... that particular artifice was rejected by Kandiyohi County. But even if there hadn't been rejected, the plain language of what is alleged in Deputy Pomplum's request, his application doesn't rise to the level of anything to do with drugs. Child engagement. I would assume he means child endangerment, but it says child engagement here. I'll give him a pass, but that's not a great typo to have. Child engagement. Or maybe they just mean that childs were present. Maybe that's what they mean by engagement. Maybe it's legal knowledge. I don't know. It seems funny to me to see it there. Child engagement, perhaps. The language in there reflects nothing but child endangerment. No, so he was incorrect because then he corrected himself. Child endangerment at best. And I won't even concede that it does that. The second element is that Deputy Pomplum said that he had watched a video of the Steel Toe morning show by a gentleman by the name of Aaron Imholte. Of course, I know it's Imholte, but I'm too attached to that now. Aaron and the defendant have had I don't want to say a long-standing feud, but it's gone on for some months. They don't like each other. They plain old just don't like each other. And from the writing in the particular application, it seems that the deputy identified Mr. Imholte and his expectation, there's almost a concern, they're almost as a concerned citizen. Well, the case law is, it's very adamant that he doesn't qualify as a concerned citizen, because when you're dealing with a concerned citizen analysis, you have to look at what the motivation is. The motivation is important to determining whether someone is a concerned citizen or not. Also, the video, and as I have stated in the excuse me, the video is that he watched could not have been the defendants. In fact, the evidence that we received in discovery in their supplement 1 shows a clip from presumably the video that he watched, showing that it came from a different platform and that the different platform added elements to the video. Did they just rob Cog? Did they rob Cog of his moment of glory? I believe it was in the charging document. No, sorry, it was in the motion to suppress video. The motion to suppress document. It was listed as the Cog's life video, but it seems that they have decided to shaft Cog again in the court system. Very sad, very disappointing. He got clogged. Yes. Yes, he's just saving the court's valuable time. Oh dear. So the video in of itself is not reliable evidence. And the problem with that is that Deputy Pomplum didn't identify that to Judge Fisher. It is my belief that if Judge Fisher had been made, evaluated, and dismissed, and that the video that Detective Plum Plum reviewed was not Mr. Rekieta's video, but was in fact a video that someone else had copied and then added elements to, she would not have issued that warrant. At least not in the 4 minutes from the moment that she, from the 4 minutes that she signed it. And then she signed the warrant. 4 minutes elapsed between the application and the warrant. Now, I suppose this is supposed to be like some crazy thing that the warrant was issued very quickly. But in multiple law shows that I have watched, I have seen when they have had cops on outside someone's house, and they're like, "We can get a warrant anytime. We're just going to text the judge." Apparently, it's pretty quick to get a warrant if you really do want one. So I'm not sure if this is a great argument. I guess they're trying to say it was too quick, but we'll see. I assume that all judicial officers take their jobs and responsibilities seriously, and in doing so, they rely on officers of the law to be honest and fully forthright and forthcoming in their expressions to the court. I think in this case, these are material omissions that Detective Plum Plum did not tell Judge Fisher about, which renders the warrant invalid. I'm going to have to disagree. Because I've talked to some people about this, and I asked them a simple question, and that was, if there's a question of whether or not the video has been altered or the video does not represent reality in such a way that would have granted the warrant, could they not just check it versus the original source? And everyone that I've asked have said that it's a very simple matter and they could just do that. Now, I see Nick's argument. Nick's argument is that it shouldn't have been granted in the first place, and thus everything should be thrown out. I mean, it could work. But I have my doubts. It's always possible. Everything's always possible in a court of law. Sometimes you get lucky when you go to the casino, right? Most of the time you don't. That's the problem. And there are multiple copies of that stream, not only on Nick's channels. It's still up on his Odyssey, I want to say. Odyssey. He's privated on his YouTube. He's privated on his Rumble, but the Rumble wasn't immediately privated, if I remember correctly, as well as everyone that's got local copies. It seems like a very simple matter, considering they found the evidence, they found the drugs, they found it all. They found the cocaine credit cards of April. They found the ketamine tablets. Now, maybe he'll get thrown out, but again, we'll see. I don't think so. I would be very surprised. If he does get away with it, then I guess good for him. It doesn't really matter, though. It doesn't really matter if he gets away with it, because his reputation is already tarnished. His reputation is destroyed. His family has been shattered. He can rebuild it, for sure. You can always come back from these sort of things, very unlikely though, considering that he seems to be just still hanging out with April. I mean, that's the first thing. Get rid of the chaff, right? The thing is, he has to keep April. Like, there's a question. Do you guys think that he's going to ditch April the second that she's not born to this case? Or is it true love? Is it true love or true triangle love or whatever you want to call it? It's on BitChute and the Internet Archive. Well, the important part is not if anyone has a copy of it, because lots of people have a copy of it. The important part is it's still on Nick's socials that can be viewed publicly. Then the judge can easily review that. And it looks like that will be reviewed in an evidentiary hearing based on this document. I love the ceiling cats. Thank you very much. I've still got the paper ones. They're just hanging up on the ceiling. Maybe I'll deploy them. If we hit the goal, who can say? Let me see. I think that in this case, the material omissions that Detective Plum Plum did not tell Judge Fisher about, which renders the warrant invalid. Of course, one of the other issues that I raised was the fact that the warrant, even if the warrant is valid as to the drugs, the police seized firearms, or alleged firearms, I should say. I mean, I guess it's lawyer speak. They have to say that, but come on now. They're not decorative pieces of art. From Mr. Rekieta's residence, those firearms aren't listed on the warrant. Now, this is an interesting point, but I don't think it matters because they were in plain view. It seems like they were just under the bed a little bit, and the sheets were up because the bed was unmade, and we know that. We know that because the house is a sty. I guess you can't say you really know it, but we know it to be true in our hearts. This seems like a very flimsy one, the firearms thing. And a Kai Suki with a North Korean 20 No, sorry. The North, what is it? Norwegian kronas. My bet is Kayla will take the kids and leave. I don't think so. I think she's in for the penny, in for the pound. Nick's already destroyed her body. His words, not mine. So where's she got to go? Where has she got to go? Besides, Nick's parents are rich. You can't leave the gravy train. What are you talking about? Once you get on, you can't get off. Let me see. I mean, she just wants to watch Star Trek all day. How could she do that if she has to work for a living? Let's see. Even if the warrant is valid too, as to the drugs, the police seized firearms, or alleged firearms, I should say, from Mr. Rekieta's residence. Those firearms aren't listed on the warrant. There's no indication that they were looking for firearms. The case law that I have cited in my brief, and I won't go over it here, it's pretty clear that even when something is in plain view, it has to be related to, substantially related to, or there has to be a nexus between the alleged offense for which the search warrant was granted, and the seizure of the item is not listed on there. There is no nexus here. It's not substantially related, and there's no nexus here. The case law on this is pretty clear, Governor. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the charges... Wait, let me think. Well, they were charged with child endangerment and possession of drugs as well as possession with firearms. It seems like it's pretty obvious that those are connected, because you can't be safe around children if you've got the firearms out. And besides, there was child endangerment going on in that house. I don't care what anyone says. If you just watched Nick's streams, you could tell that to be true, because he would stay up till 5, 6, or 7 a.m. completely hammered. And then a couple hours later, he was driving his kids to school. That is child endangerment. Clear and simple. And all the reports from multiple sources, the pastor, the Aaron, the Sunday school teacher, saying that the kids were smelly and hungry. That's neglect, and that's endangerment. Come on now. But anyway, the Mr. White continues. The case law on this is pretty clear. The third issue that I raised involves Mrs. Aaron? Yeah, I guess it's Mrs. I guess she wasn't divorced at this time, was she? No, wait, she was still married, I think, when the bust happened, but now she's divorced. So I guess this would be technically correct. Miss April Imhote's statement to the officer after she had been Mirandized. There's been a lot of confusion about this. The court says, I'm going to stop you there. That third issue, though, isn't that more so a motion in limine that would be resolved if the matter did get set for trial? I'm not sure that if it's proper for me at an omnibus stage to really, discuss admissibility, since it's not a constitutional or legal issue. It seems like there's a motion in limine is what you're suggesting on that last issue. Mr. White responds, that was my initial thought, Your Honor, but the case that I cited, Sutter, seems to ended up with the issue being of harmless error because, and again, this is something that I'm drawing from my research. It doesn't state that explicitly because it wasn't raised early enough. So belt and suspenders, Your Honor. Belt and suspenders, Your Honor. Oh my goodness. Case closed. Belt and suspenders, Your Honor. I wanted to make sure that it was raised as early as possible. It seems like he's a bit stressed, Mr. White here. It seems like he's a little bit nervous, and that's fine. We all get performance anxiety from sometimes, right? Perhaps he could use a Baldo to give him that confidence that he needs in the courtroom and in the bedroom. Perhaps as the fifth member, after the fourth member, Ralph has joined the stable, we'll call it. Who can say lawyer ski? Come on, that's rude. to Andy. Andy's much more competent than this lawyer. A lordo, yes. Anyway, he continues, and the state has conceded, and I'm sure Mrs. Pierce will tell you that they will not use the body cam footage that I'm asking the court to preclude unless Miss April Imholte testifies. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. All right, so summing up your first issue, that essentially you're asking for a Frank's evidentiary hearing, and you mentioned that some items that you placed in the MNDS. Just one moment as I refer to those. That was, well, do you want to detail what your exhibits are? It looks like you have some video recordings, a document image, a letter from Family Services, the application for a search warrant, and another video. Does that sound correct? The court's being very nice to Mr. White, I think. he's coming up with these ramblings about belts and garters and suspenders and things. A little bit. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense if he's in the locals with Nick, right? If they talk about underwear a lot and stuff. Seems like it was a little bit flustered, and the court is just being very nice and very professional and saying, "Okay, I think this is what you mean. Yeah, we're okay. We're on board with you. We're on board with you." Not quite the legal dynamo I think he's been described as, but I mean, this is just text, right? This is just paper. Who can? I mean, maybe I'm inferring too much, but maybe I'm just having a bit of fun here. Who can say? Who can say? Mr. White continues. There are in there. I'll get rid of the two easiest ones to get rid of. There are two body cam videos because Mrs. Pierce is conceding that's not necessary, and those relate solely to it literally says 222 here, by the way. I'm not being. It literally says solely to the third issue that I raised. Those are not particularly relevant. The other video is a copy that I personally downloaded from the Steel Toe Morning Show. The Steel Toe Morning Show. Excuse me. Now we'll take a quick segue from this document here, because let's look at Ralph's reporting, because Ralph was on the scene with his beautiful, immaculate, illustrious handwriting. This is what Ralph had to say about Nick's lawyer. This is what Ralph had to say.
I audibly chuckle as he says, "Steel toe, morning toe."
Even Ralph guffaws in laughter at the idea of this lawyer. Ethan Ralph, the man that lives in a tin shed in Mexico, is styling on this lawyer. It is also very funny because Ralph couldn't even report this correctly. He said, what did he say? Steel toe.
I audibly chuckle as he says, "Steel toe, morning toe."
So Ralph's reporting, not very accurate. The court reporter actually factually said, Steel Toe Morning Show, Steel Toe Morning Show, excuse me. Steel Toe Morning Show from May 22nd, 2024. That was their morning show, not the evening show, because apparently there's an evening show as well. Is that true, Aaron? Is there an evening edition of the Steel Toe Morning Show? That is very confusing. Come on now, Aaron. Come on. You're making this old lawyer man very confused. But Mike, Your Honor, the Steel Toe Morning Show is actually in the evening. What is he talking about? Oh my goodness. It's kind of because Ralph confused Josh's lawyer. The lawyer they sent, Hardin? There's like two Hardings, and one of them's like Rusty. He's like an 87-year-old man. Who names someone Rusty, by the way? Like, that's like a name that you're born old or something. I don't know. It's like naming a child Agnes or something. Like, she's just living till she's an old lady. But anyway, they mixed it up. So Harding's not actually an 80-year-old man. But it seems like Nick's lawyer actually is an old 80-year-old man, because it's the only person that seems to agree with him. It's very, very strange to me. But I mean, it is what it is. But I guess it's another win for the toe. Alrighty, where were we? That was their morning show, not the evening show, because apparently there's an evening show as well. I downloaded that. Well, at least he's not that much of a boomer. At least he knows how to use YouTube Mate or whatever it is, Y2 Mate. And that video references to times that are in our motion. The application for a search warrant, of course, was to the court allegedly had that, but that was for ease of use. The letter is the letter that I've referenced from Kandiyohi County Human Health and Human Services, stating that they had investigated the report from May 16th and they found it wanting for any evidence of child abuse or neglect, which is a pretty low standard, Your Honor. I think Nick's got pretty low standards in representation, if this is the best guy that he could get. It seemed like Miss Weber was doing really well for him. Like, she got the kids back in the house pretty quick. Like, it was only 3 months the kids were away. I mean, that's a long time away to be away from your kids, but who can say? Who can say? Oh, look at this. We got a PowerPoint presentation. The PowerPoint presentation that is titled RekietaVideo.pptx. That is the PP presentation that the Deputy Pomplun references in his Supplemental Report 1, which is also included, that he created from someone else's stream, not from not from Mr. Rekieta's stream, but from someone else's stream. Look, this is when you cross streams, you're going to have a bad time. Don't do that, especially not an illegal filing. And the Rekieta.png. I'm sorry. It's just that I have multiple Rekieta.pmgs on my computer. So whenever I see one, I have a bit of a giggle. I have this one. This one is entitled nickface.png. Look at that. Is this the Rekieta.png he's referring to? This one isn't a PNG, but it is a point of view when you're a line. That's a pretty good one. This one's called sendhelp.png. If only you knew how bad things were. Oh, save Sunny. We've got to save Sunny, guys. We can do it. We can save that puppo. Oh, my goodness. The look of abject fear in his eyes. Unbelievable. Not the same dog? No, come on now. What are you talking about? Are you saying that Rekieta bought a secondary pug after he murdered the first one through negligence? That's just utterly, absurdly ridiculous. That can't be the case. Save Sunny, say it in the chat, have your voice heard, and also hit that like button. Come on, we just need to get over 400 likes, and I'll be satisfied. But 1,000 would be nice too, but we'll see. We'll have to see. I'm counting on the replay crew because the live crew is a bit lazy today. Come on, replay crew, you can hit that like button. All right. But yeah, the replay crew is really based, by the way. I like them. They got some good comments, some very funny ones too. I love the live chat too, but you know. Anyway, where were we? Not from Mr. Rekieta's stream, but from someone else's stream. And the Rekieta.png is the screenshot that is taken from the stream. Also, it's literally a Coke, like the Rekieta.png is literally Nick with his nose covered in sugar donuts, I suppose, is what they're alleging. Okay. I've already mentioned the supplemental report, and I think that's everything, Your Honor. What I'm saying is that the evidence, or actually it says what I'm saying is that the evidence is not the best evidence. Okay. I mean, it's what is it? Pantyhose and stockings above the rest, Your Honor. It wasn't the original evidence, and Judge Fisher had an expectation that she would have been informed of that. Detective Pomplum did not inform her of that. In fact, his application indicates if he watched Mr. Rekieta's stream and seeing as that is only suggestion that there were drugs in the house. I mean, they did find the drugs in the house, but I see the point they're trying to make. I mean, it is quite a wild thing from a regular person point of view, right? Because it's like, of course we know that he was using drugs because we saw it on stream. Of course we know that they had a search warrant to find drugs because we've seen the search warrant. Of course we know they found the drugs because they found the drugs. Of course we know they're drugs because they tested them and the test came back positive. So this is just a legal Hail Mary. They're just going for broke. Come on now. They're just like, can we just please, God, you owe me one. I don't know why, but you do. Please, God, throw out the case. And seeing that as the only suggestion that the drugs were in the house, then she had a duty to. She had a need to know. And he had a duty to tell her that it had been edited so that she could have evaluated that. All right, Mrs. Pierce, any objection to the court receiving those items? Mrs. Pierce responds, Your Honor, I would object to the video of the Steel Toe Morning Show. Aaron L, I guess. Mrs. Pierce has rejected the toe. She's not a toe bro. The affidavit for the search warrant does indicate that they did review a video blog on the 22nd of May from 2024 from Aaron Imholte. But there are, as Mrs. Francis White says, there are multiples per day. I don't know if this is the same one that was watched and can't talk to the authenticity of the video. All right. Any further response to that issue? Mr. White continues. Your Honor, we're not submitting it for the truth of the matter here. We're submitting it as an indication that there was a different video than what he actually reviewed. But excuse me, that Detective Pomplum watched that show, and the show indicated that there was animosity between the two, between the two parties. Wouldn't it be funny if Detective Pomplum is a tow bro? Because, you know, when we saw that, like, Ralph showed up in Minnesota, and immediately the only person that comes up and talks to him is a tow bro. And then I look at some of the clips from Aaron's show, and apparently there's just tow bros everywhere in Minnesota. Is it possible that Detective Pomplum is an everyday tow bro watching bro? That would actually be very funny. If that is the case, and I guess it's not impossible, right? If he's like a 25-month subscriber to Aaron or some shit like that, I don't know. That'd be really funny. Tow Army. It was Aaron all along. Oh my goodness. It makes perfect sense. Like, Aaron pretends to be just like a regular guy. Like, he's just like, I don't know, man. I lost my wife. I went on the Conio Casino. I don't know what's going on here. And then he's just like, he's actually like this mastermind. That'd be genius. Oh my goodness. It makes sense all along. It's like the art of war, you know? Look strong when you're weak, and look weak when you are strong. Aaron's controlling everything, and he's just pretending that he's just a dude. Oh my goodness. The Tominators? Is that what we call them? That'd be pretty good. Or is a Kiwi farmer? I guess that's more likely, honestly. What if Aaron is a Minnesota cult leader all along? No, that's Nick. He tried to. He's not doing too well. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. The conspiracy plot thickens. It's happening. It's actually happening. It's toes all the way down. We've found out. We've found it out. Where was I? Detective Pomplum watched that show, and that show indicated that there was animosity between the two parties. If you grant us an evidentiary hearing, the Frank's evidentiary hearing, I will certainly be asking Detective Pomplum whether or not he's a toe subscriber. No, whether or not he watched that video or not. All right, well, I'll take the admissibility of that under advisement, says the court. I'll review it and determine whether the court will overrule the state's objection or not. Mrs. P.S., your response. Your Honor, I would ask for 2 allowed to do a written response. All right, how much time? If I could have until the 30th, Your Honor. Hey, that's just a couple days away. That's 3 days away for me. That would be fine. August 30. Mr. White continues. Your Honor, I would ask to be able to reply to the written response, and I would need 5 additional days to do that. The court asks any objections? Typically, this is your motion. I would have you file your submission first and then state thereafter. Mr. White, my submissions, Your Honor, are already filed. Yes, that is the fantastic piece of evidence that Nick filed, that Mr. White filed, that show that the evil Kiwi farmers are pedos, and it's just a garbage filing. Let's be honest, it's absolute trash. Although the one thing I am kind of proud of myself, because the one part of that document that we were reviewing, I kind of agreed with the arguments on the Mirandizing of April, and that the detective shouldn't have talked to her after that, and it was bullshit that they did. And I'm kind of pleased with myself that the court seems to think the same. It's very satisfying as just a layman, and not even a very intelligent layman at that, just an average dude. Let me see. All right. In light of that, I'll allow a reply brief by then September 6th. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. All right. The court will take the matter under advisement as of September 6th and issue an order. Typically, an order will be provided within 30 days of that date. Was there anything else here today? Mr. White says, no, Your Honor, except for Mrs. Pierce saying on the record that she did agree with that the third element would be that she had agreed that there would be no use of the body cam footage unless Miss April Imholte testifies. Now, I'll clarify here. This does not mean the entirety of the body cam footage. It just means the body cam footage where April's just chirping like, that's after she was Mirandized. So that's what they're talking about, is that they'll exclude that unless April is called to testify, which could happen if her motion to dismiss isn't successful. She could become a witness against Nick, and then she may be offered a plea deal to testify against him. But that means that Nick would have the ability to, he had the right to, under the American Constitution, to face his accuser in the courtroom. And if that happens, then the body cam footage of April's segment could be included at that time. So yes, as it says, the body cam footage unless April testifies. The court says, Mrs. Pierce says, I agreed that there would be I cannot use April's statement unless she testifies because there's hearsay. And I would not show her statement on body camera. I'm not agreeing that I would not use any of the body camera. So that's a nice little clarification here that she actually says, like, wait a second, you sneaky boys. Just because I said that I'm not going to include April's body cam footage doesn't mean you get to exclude the rest of the body cam footage. That means it's back on the table. Meat is back on the menu, boys. If that body cam gets submitted into evidence at a court hearing, we got it. That's when we get it. Delicious. And what we're going to see those mountains of trash. I know it's there. I've seen the trap house. I know it's there. The court says, all right. Well, nevertheless, those items are motions in limine. You've noticed it. It's an issue if the matter does go to trial. And if there's any further contest of that, we can certainly discuss that further as well. I assume this is Mr. White. It just says Mr. Understood, Your Honor. Thank you. The court says, all right, very well then. The court will take this under advisement. I'll issue an order once briefing has been provided. That will conclude the proceedings today. Thank you. End of record. Now, interesting. Oh, wait, reporter's certificate. Lisa M. Vosick. I hereby certify that. Okay, so she's just a stenographer. Good stuff, Lisa. Very professional work. Very impressive as always. Well, first time I've seen it. But this is interesting to me because Nick made it sound like the judge was furious that they were using body cam footage, or that they were using Cog Life's channel as evidence. That does not seem to be that takes place anywhere in here. In fact, it seems like the court is helping this aging attorney that Nick has somehow found from his locals channel. And furthermore, the court was very forthcoming with their choice to not show April's stuff after it had been Mirandized. So I'm not sure this is the slam dunk that they've described their lawyer as being, or a star hitter. It's a little bit embarrassing, to tell you the truth of the matter. I don't know. What do you guys think? How would you rate this document? Or how would you rate, not this document, because the document is very good, because it's just a transcript. But how would you rate Mr. White's appearance in court today? How would you rate Mr. White's appearance? Perhaps like this.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
I mean, maybe he was nervous. Maybe he's got a bit of a stutter. You know, that happens. I can't put that much to him, but like these arguments don't seem very good, at least in his filings. But there you have it. I mean, he even got giggled at Ralph. They literally heard Ralph laughing at him in the courtroom. That's probably why he was getting even more nervous, because Ralph audibly chuckled in the courtroom. He was the only person there that was acting unprofessional. Let's hear it again. Even being laughed at by Ralph. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see. Well, what should we go to next? Oh, we read that one. That was the kill. We don't need that. We got some clips here to check out. All right, let's do this quick 1-minute clip first. Would be great. I muted myself because I didn't want the audio.
But at least now it can't get much worse.
But it did get worse.
See what happens if you don't mute your screen audio? If you don't mute your screen audio, then you get reverberations in StreamYard. So I muted my desktop audio so I could play the clip of Jesse, and then I forgot to unmute it. So yes, I was muted. Very unfortunate. All right. This one is called Rekieta's Jail Likelihood from August 21st. This is from his Cope stream. And be sure to tell me that I'm muted.
Koof says, for entertainment's sake, wouldn't it benefit everyone if you walked free so they can tell your side?
I have to show my screen as well before anyone says anything. Don't you say shit, chat.
So that you can tell your side. You can't say much behind. Look, the likelihood of being in jail, like to actually being behind bars, is extremely low in my case, just because of the way Minnesota does sentencing.
But it's not impossible. Like, here's the real thing. If just Nick stops being a silly bugger in court, he'll be all right. You know, he'd probably get like a deferment, probation, something like that. It's very unlikely a first nonviolent offense that'll actually do prison time. But it's not impossible. And if he keeps acting the fool, objecting when it's not his turn to object, when he's not even supposed to object for himself, then I don't know. Like, if he just represents himself, he's getting the death penalty on this one.
Even if I were to go to trial and lose, the likelihood of going to jail or prison for an extended amount of time is low. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. It's just not a high likelihood. Just in any sort of normal analysis of the likely outcome, Minnesota has sentencing guidelines. Those guidelines are pretty damn specific on how sentencing is done, and deviating from those guidelines requires reasons, either upwards or downward deviations.
Like pissing off the judge, for example. That can happen. Like, some people talk to me in my, like, not they didn't talk to me, but they sent me comments, right? And they're like, actually, even if you're rude to the judge, they have to treat you fairly. Yeah, in a perfect world. The reality is that judges make decisions based on their emotions all the time. Judges are people, lawyers are people, and even Nick is a person, I would assume. But yes, if you pissed off the judge, you can get a worse deal.
So, like, you can predict with relative accuracy what you're actually facing. Now, a lot can change, right? There could be additional charges that aren't brought yet, or there could be charges that are dropped, or things can be changed to different degrees, etc.
Oh, wait a second. Is that something that I've mentioned before? Let me replay that.
A lot can change, right? There could be additional charges that aren't brought yet, or there could be...
Just consider that. Now, I've said this from the beginning, but just because there aren't certain charges that you've expected thus far doesn't mean they're not off the table. The judge could decide at any time to bring these charges, which they've said, why isn't there an endangerment charge? Why isn't there a yada yada charge? They can come back any time. Maybe they're just waiting for the evidentiary hearing first to make sure that the warrant is good and golden, and then they can go through and say, you know what? All right, now that this is fine, we can bring these up as well.
Charges that are dropped, or things can be changed to different degrees, et cetera, et cetera. All of that stuff is in the realm of possibility, but the likelihood of going to jail or prison, even if I go to trial and lose, is low. So I don't think I'll be behind bars.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think that's the case, but you know, I wouldn't have thought you would be in a throuple and found with an 8-ball of Coke or whatever. So who can I say? All right, so let us see what happened in court. We'll watch this a little bit faster. We'll watch it on 1.25 speed. So we've seen what happened in court based on the transcript. Now let's see how Nick characterizes it.
What ended up happening in court, just as a summary, is we went in, we had our motion filed. You can find that motion. It's a publicly available document. You can evaluate the claims for yourself. I would encourage you to read the fucking document, though.
That's what I did. Look at that.
Because that's the one thing I've noticed that most people aren't doing, is actually reading the document.
What is he talking about? Everybody's reading the documents. That's the point of posting the documents on the farms. Every time a new public matter of interest comes out, people are reading it word for word. Who are you talking about? The only people that aren't reading the document are your bros who you're telling you to just trust me. You're like, oh my goodness. Like, I think I heard that EVS said, what was it? I got the quote here. Apparently, I didn't see this clip, but someone reported EVS, Ethan Van Sciver, says that Nick told him that the police touched his daughter's hair with cocaine on their gloves, and that is why his daughter tested positive. Nick also claimed that it is on the video, body cam footage. Is this something Nick tells people to try and control the narrative, or is this really wanting to try this as a defense? Is this the full story he keeps saying will come out? I wonder if it means to admit that there was cocaine in the house, or if he intends to say that the police brought cocaine into the house. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is a patently absurd claim, because they didn't find cocaine in the hair. They found metabolites that are a product of having cocaine in your system. You can't have a handful of metabolites unless the cops are going up and sticking their fists inside the child's, I don't know, head or brain or something, and then digging out the metabolites personally. Like, obviously that's impossible. Disgusting. That makes no fucking sense, this argument. But the interesting thing about this argument is that if it is true, it is on the body cam footage, and you would need to show that to prove to people that the police were touching your kids' heads. It's absolutely crazy. People actually believe this shit. Those are the people that aren't reading the documents. Are the people still in the bunker? I mean, Ethan Van Sciver is just fat enough to believe this theory, so I guess it's true.
Like actually reading them and going, okay, what is this actually doing? Because the analysis that I've seen has gotten the basic premises wrong. And it's like, understand that what we're asking for is Frank's hearing.
All right, Meggles. It can be metabolites. Metabolites is also acceptable. They're both acceptable pronunciations of this word. I guarantee you. Between English and British English, some would argue British English, the more correct English. I'm saying that word fine. Don't you get started with me, you Australian woman.
Where we get to challenge the legitimacy of statements used by the officer under oath made to a judge in requesting the warrant to search my property.
Parallax asks, how do I pronounce hyperbole? I pronounce it hyperbole. Absolutely.
We lay out specific statements that we allege are misrepresentations made with either knowledge of the falsity or reckless disregard for the truth. And those representations were material to the issuing of the warrant. That's the standard for Frank's. All we have to do at this point is make a prima facie showing.
First of all, Nick misrepresented his actual involvement in the Frank's case. If you're watching Potentially Criminals chat or show, I should say. But he tried to make it sound like he's an expert on the Frank's case, but then when we actually checked up the documents, he was just lying again. No big surprises there. Ex-skimmer with a 50 Korean. What are these? Shit. Why do I always say Norwegian kronas? 50 Norwegian kronas. He says the only thing that could make this even worse is if the 9-year-old was used as a drug mule and one of the bags leaked. I don't think that's what happened. I think. Well, I mean, I've given a couple of theories. Ultimately, I don't know. I would like to think that somehow it's still an impossible test. But the thing is, even if the coke test for the kid is completely false, and it's just like, it's all just garbage, just like Nick, like, let's say Nick is telling the truth about this one thing, that the kid never did anything and they never had any of this in the system. Even if that's true, he's still a piece of shit. Best case scenario, he endangered his children. He endangered his family. He possibly destroyed their entire lives with trauma going forward from his weird degeneracy by having 4 adults to a bed. And he still was being dangerous around them. He was still using substances to the 9th degree. He was still wife swapping and swinging and being a cuckold and being a complete hypocrite about all these things. That's the best case scenario because that stuff is all true. He hasn't denied any of the cuckoldry. He hasn't denied any of that stuff, and everybody knows it's true. So you've only got these 2 situations where he's a complete piece of shit, and one where he's just a really huge piece of shit. Pronounce aluminum and lieutenant, and tell me British English is more correct. Well, how do you say it? Lieutenant? Is there more than one pronunciation for lieutenant? I know aluminum can be aluminium, but how would you pronounce lieutenant differently? I don't know about that one. Lieutenant? Do people say lieutenant? That's weird. That is weird. All right, let's continue.
These statements were false and that they're material and that they were knowingly false. Because all we really ask officers to do in warrant requests is not lie. That's all we really ask them to do. So you can read those things. But if you start reading and you go, Nick is arguing to suppress XYZ.
The document was called Motion to Suppress. I feel like I'm taking fucking crazy pills when I listen to this. I wasn't trying to suppress anything. It's a motion to fucking suppress. Does anyone else see this?
If you start reading and you go, Nick is arguing to suppress XYZ, rewind the tape because you're
to the beginning of the document where it says motion to suppress. Where do I rewind the tape to, Nick?
You're not watching the right movie, and start your analysis over. And if you're a law tuber and you missed that the first go around,
I forgive you. I forgive you.
What the fuck is this supposed to mean? Like, this is like, I'm not sure if he's doing this ironically. Like, I honestly can't tell. Like, is this a real, like, I forgive you, or is this some weird manipulation? Like, is he trying to be funny here? Like, does he actually believe this? Does he actually believe, like, oh, I forgive you? Anybody could make a mistake. It could happen to you. You could just, fall down the stairs one morning. Oops, you gave your kid, like, Coke, and now they're testing positive for 10 times the base level. Whoopsie daisy. It could happen to you. Just one bad day. I could be a joker one day as well. What is he talking? I forgive you? What the fuck? Why don't you ask your kids for forgiveness for being a piece of shit?
Maybe if you were practicing attorneys, you wouldn't have missed it.
The title of the document? The request to suppress all the evidence, to remove it from the courtroom and the public eye, made multiple times by you, by your lawyer, by every argument. This is the only thing that you've got going for you, is trying to suppress it and hope that the warrant is thrown out. Because if it is thrown out, everything else gets thrown out as fruit of the fallen tree. That's a big win. It's super unlikely, but it is possible. What is this, like, this humble, like, oh, I'm just, I will forgive you, child. I will forgive you, stalker child. What is he talking about? That actually made me mad for a second. Like, I forgive you, but fuck off.
So you can check out the motion because it's public. I'm sure it's shared everywhere. You can see bad analysis from it of it on YouTube. But really, what happened was the county attorney asked for time to respond in writing. They received rough 9.
Yeah, because they submitted the document. It's the Rekieta special is like submitting documents at the last minute. Like you're a kid, like, who forgot to do their 300-word essay, and then at the very last moment you put it in and hope that the teacher doesn't have time to actually review it, and just they give you like a C or something. You notice that in every legal case that Nick has been a part of, he's got these last-minute filings. I saw it from the Vic case, and it's all the way through to his own cases, and the Monty cases, I believe, as well. It's ridiculous. Just file things on time. So wasting time.
10 days. I didn't count out exactly. I think they respond by August 30th, and then we have 5 days after that. Apparently, we get to reply by September 6th, I believe, which I think those are 2 Fridays or something like that, or Friday, Thursday. It doesn't matter. August 30th.
That's the real crime here. Those Fridays are gone. Oh, man. Thank God it's Friday no more. That's the real injustice here. His weekend is going to be ruined by these filings. God damn it.
To September 6th. And then after that, the judge will make his ruling on whether or not we have made that prima facie showing, and we proceed to a Franks hearing. If we don't proceed to a Franks hearing, I believe we move on from that point, because without actually striking any part of the warrant affidavit, I believe the warrant would be presumptively valid at that point.
Yeah, and then you take the plea deal. That's what's going to happen. You're going to lose on all of these crazy motions. You're going to be dead to rights. You're going to take a plea deal, and then you'll continue life, and you'll just, go on, and everyone will remember this forever, and you'll be a martyr in your own community, and everyone will know everything about the degeneracy, but it'll be fine because everyone's just a prude.
I'm not saying that for sure. I'm not sure if there would be able to be a subsequent challenge or not, but that's the next step. And so if we win on the issues, again, we go to a Franks hearing, and then we get to duke out with the prosecution the validity of the statements in the warrant. If we win and strike a sufficient amount of the warrant, we win the case. Unless the state has some alternative grounds to prosecute than what they were able to obtain through the execution of the warrant. Since, to my knowledge, the only evidence that the state has of any alleged crimes came from
is all the cocaine and all the
the execution of a warrant, at least the state's version of evidence, the state's version of crimes, all of that stuff, all of the caveats necessary to talk about shit. But everything that they
this might be confusing to people because obviously he's so prominently smoking, he's so prominently getting high on stream and everything. But if you're just joining us, kind of the summary of Nick's entire argument is that if the warrant was bad, everything that follows, fruit of the fallen tree, is invalid. So yes, they found the drugs. Yes, they found the ketamine, the coke, and now I've also said that, like, I think that the possession of cocaine and also being a gun owner is bullshit charge. I don't think that should be constitutional, but people keep arguing me about this, but I just don't think it's constitutional. But anyway, even though we know for 100% that he had this stuff, if they didn't obtain the stuff correctly, with the proper due process, it could all get thrown out. That's how this works. This is what Nick is praying for. This is his only plea, his one play. And if it doesn't work, it's like 90% chance he just takes a plea deal immediately to get this off the record and prevent anything from being submitted. Because it seems like he cares more about his online image and preventing the body cam from coming out to showing what a like filthy slob he is than actually doing what's best for his family.
Ledge came from the execution of the warrant. And so without a valid warrant, the case would be over. People have called this like a Hail Mary pass.
Hey, that's what I called it. I just called it a Hail Mary right then.
Or whatever, but you don't throw Hail Marys at the beginning. You just go straight for the one-hit KO.
It's not a Hail Mary. It's a one-hit KO that just wins everything and it's your only chance. That's not a Hail Mary. What the fuck? The audacity of this Nicholas Rekieta. Oh my goodness. It's not a Hail Mary, guys. It's not a Hail Mary. It's just a 5-point palm exploding heart technique that if it works, then I win. And if it doesn't, then I just lose. Okay. It's not a Hail Mary. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not a Hail Mary. Come off it, mate.
Anybody who doesn't go for a one-hit KO, if they think they have any chance at it, you have to always determine that with your legal counsel.
I mean, yeah, like you throw out every argument possible. Of course, that's how it works. That's why, you lead with your strongest argument first and your silly little document that you submitted on the last 5 minutes of the day or whatever. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
I'm a guy who says I should probably take the shot. You should probably take the shot and say, yeah, I actually don't believe that you can charge me with a crime. I don't believe that you've done the right thing. And so that's where we are right now. So
and make no mistake, he should file this. He should take every opportunity he can. I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm just saying that the likelihood is very low. And to make it sound like it's some masterful grand plan when it has like maybe a 2 or 3% chance of working is just ridiculous. But I fully commend him for trying every avenue that is available. I would do the same if I had fucked up my life to this degree.
And if we win on our motion, we get to have a hearing to then further attack the warrant. If we don't win on our motion, then we just move on to the next stage. And there's a whole lot left before any sort of trial. I would not expect trial, even if we were to go to trial. I wouldn't expect trial before December, maybe even later. I've got a long road ahead of me.
And part of that seems to be, and there are some people that believe this was done intentionally, but Kayla received representation very late in the game, like as late as like 2 weeks ago, basically, even though this has been going on for months and they're being, they have separate representation. Because of Kayla's late representation, her first hearing, like her omnibus hearing, the one that Nick just went through, is not until October. So some people have theorized that this has been done intentionally so that when their court cases meet back up, if they're going to be tried together, even though they are separate defendants, Nick's case will always have to be delayed until Kayla's case catches up. And maybe they can do the same thing again in Kayla's case. Maybe they can do another appeal to the Frank's case or whatever. Some people have suggested that. It wouldn't surprise me if Nick is just trying to run out the clock on people's attention spans, because the fact of the matter is that if there's like no content on this issue for like a month or 2 months, people will forget about it. Of course, there'll be a very diehard group that are very interested in it, but the majority of people will probably start to fall off and they'll start to forget about it. They'll be like, oh, that's old news. We want to talk about the newest drama. I wonder if that's the strategy. I could see it happening. I could definitely see that.
So that can always change. There's all sorts of shit that can change it. But for now, that's where we are.
All righty. This one is called, so next one is called Ethan Ralph Not Boxing Aaron Because He Was Scared. Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed ×3 on August 21st. These are all from the same stream, by the way.
Ethan, fool. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I was previewing these on 2-point speed. There we go.
Numero uno Josh Denny fan says, where's Ethan, fool? I don't know where Ethan.
Well, I know where Ethan is. Well, he was at the time of this. He was he was getting completely fucked up in Tijuana because he wasn't getting any action from the strippers.
Ethan Ralph is. I had lunch with Ralph today. It was nice.
How could that be nice? How could you enjoy? Like, when I sit down to a restaurant, I don't want to be eating with a pig. How could you have fun? watching him slop all over the table, honking, or not honking, snorting, the dandruff falling out of his head. How could that be nice?
Other than that, I haven't seen him since. Let's see. Anime sucks, Cope and Sneed. I have to read this one 3 times. He says, I thought Ralph would fight Aaron. Thoughts? Did they fight? I take it they didn't fight? I don't know.
So if you didn't catch the last stream, Aaron does boxing and he has access to a ring, and he's also a coach, so he has the keys and he can actually set up sparring matches at any time. And Ralph wanted to box Aaron, then he backed out, then he wanted money, then he said, you know what, let's go, bish. I don't scare, I don't fold the bullshit. Aaron went to the ring, to his credit, got geared up, did his warm-ups. He was waiting for Ralph. Ralph didn't show up because he was a pussy. He first said, it was a work. I was never going to show up. I wasted your entire night, even though it was like a 10-minute drive or something. So he wasted 10 minutes of Aaron's time for an entire lifetime of his own remaining credibility, because no one's ever going to trust Ralph for anything. Not that they should have in the first place, but like, it's just embarrassing. It's just another win for the toe. What can you do about it? He then, I think he deleted those tweets, and then he said, okay, actually, the real reason I didn't shop is because it was going to be a $265 Uber drive. Even though he had, like, someone had given him a car or some shit. I don't know. He was, like, borrowing someone's car. So, again, he just making up excuses. Then he was like, no, okay, we'll fight, but it has to be for $3,000. I don't play for free. As if it's actually anyone who gives a shit about it. He tried to set it up again the second day. He's like, all right, I'll show up this time for sure. I'll show up at the gym tomorrow morning. Obviously, when he was drunk off his gourd. That's when he sent those texts. Aaron was there again. Ralph didn't show up again. Then he had to flee the country. And he was so enraged that he started doxing Aaron's house, but it was like 2 houses, two blocks away. And I think that actually there's a clip I got from Aaron. We'll watch it in a second. It's a 1-minute clip where it seems like Ralph was being investigated for witness tampering or witness intimidation, because obviously Ralph is in the court of Nick. Now, while Ralph has said that Nick was paying him $20,000 to like dox people and shit like that, that's not actually true. At least I don't think so. It's just kind of Ralph bluster or whatever. But then if he's going to threaten to fight and threaten to send Aaron things, which he did say, he was looking for Aaron's address because he wanted to send him some shit. It's actually fairly reasonable to think that perhaps he was being used as a pawn to intimidate the witnesses. Now, the problem is that Aaron showed up and he called the bluff. But anyway, we'll continue to see what Nick says.
I was watching something about it brewing, and then someone said it didn't happen or something, which is, I don't know why anyone expected anything to happen from 2 guys yelling at each other on the internet about fighting.
I mean, typically, sure. If it's just 2 regular guys like saying, let's fight, that's got a very unlikely chance to happen. But in a circumstance where Ralph is just a short drive away and there is actually a ring and they can use the ring and they allegedly were going to have a friendly fight, it's actually pretty reasonable to expect that it was going to happen. The thing is, Ralph didn't show up. He dropped his balls. He dropped his nuts. He gave up the name that his daddy gave him when he was asked on the street, is your name Ralph? No, I'm not Ethan Ralph. What a fucking idiot. Oh my gosh. So it was actually pretty reasonable for this to assume that this would happen, but it didn't because Ralph is a pussy.
That's a weird thing to me. Like when people do that, they're like, I'm going to fight you on the internet. I'm going to fight you in real life. It's like, I thought we made fun of that a long time ago. I remember being like, the I'll fight you IRL bro was a meme. But
is it easier to laugh at someone that challenges someone to fight in real life, or is it easier to laugh at a cuckold? What is the funnier thing in this situation?
People now think it's going to happen all the time. I don't know. I guess they didn't fight or did fight. I would assume not. Also, can you finally show this on stream and critique it, please? What the fuck? I don't even know what this is. Ew. No, I don't.
I assume that this was a picture from Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed, which would be a fat dragon eating pizza, is I believe what that would be.
I don't think I can, but I don't know why, but I hate it. How's that? Also, Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed says, I thought Ralph would fight Aaron. Thoughts? No, I think people should really fight all the time. Actually, the best thing to do to resolve issues is to get into physical fistfights, especially over internet, back and forth. That's the best way to do that.
I mean, is it really a fist fight if you like got the big gloves on? Like they were going to use kiddie gloves and they had padding. And like I said, Aaron was a trained coach, or not a trained coach, but he's a coach. He's a coach for amateur boxing or something. So it actually is pretty reasonable. And it's not just like bloody knuckles in the street, like you're gonna fall over and hit your head on the cement or some shit. No, there was an actual ring. They were ready. They had gear ready to go. Ralph just didn't show up. It could have happened. It was all on Ralph.
Anime Sucks Cope and Sneed says, I thought Ralph would fight Aaron. Thoughts? Look, I don't have any thoughts. Aaron and Ralph are their own men. They can fight each other or not. They can say whatever they want, and I hope they each make $1 million. Arclight says, does Ralph eat like a pig in real life? No, he
Yes, he does.
eats like a person.
Does anyone believe that? Do you believe that Ralph eats like a person? I'm going to have to press X to doubt on that one. I'm going to have to press X to doubt on that one. I've seen him eat. I've seen Ralph eat before. It's not pretty. He eats on stream. He eats his little Tauras and shit. Oh my goodness. This is a man never lies to you, by the way, but he tells you that Ethan Ralph eats like a gentleman. Just consider that. Oh my gosh. All right. We got a clip from Aaron. This is called Aaron received a phone call about Ethan, witness intimidation. Ralph should flee the state, and he did.
No Ethan Ralph.
So let me turn this up. Turn this up a bit. There we go.
Ethan Ralph did not show. Yes.
Oh, so sad.
But I will say, while Ethan Ralph did not show, he made some noise.
Was the noise suey? Is that the noise he made?
Let's just say that I guess people were emailing other people about Ethan Ralph, and I got a little phone call yesterday. It was an interesting phone call. Let's just say this. I don't think Ethan realizes sometimes what damage he can do to his friends. So I got a phone call yesterday.
I mean, he is a walking disaster, if we're being honest.
Very surprised to get it. But yeah, if I considered Ethan Ralph a friend, let's just say I would reconsider. He doesn't really seem like a friend who has his buddy's best interest at heart, if that makes sense.
All right, so Aaron's not telling, obviously, he's being a little bit coy here, but basically the gist of the story is that Ralph was using Telegram and he was asking for Aaron's address. He said he was going to send Aaron something. I thought it would be something like April's panties or something like that. Like he would just like steal a pair of April's panties, because I think they put them up in the trap house. He would like goon to it or some shit and then mail it to Aaron as like, and then it'd be like, I fucked your wife, bitch. Wiggle, wiggle. I thought that's what he was going to do. But then like Aaron started getting these calls from, I believe, Detective Pumplum, but I'm not sure. And they was asking about possible witness intimidation. Ralph then scrambled to delete all this stuff. And I think Aaron didn't know what Telegram was. And that's fair enough, actually. Like if you're not in the weird internet sectors, you probably don't know what it is necessarily. I've never used Telegram, but basically it's an encrypted app. So your messages don't get doxed and everything. So basically, well, never mind. But like, actually, I think I heard that the owner of Telegram got arrested in like Italy or something, like the other day, like 2 or 3 days ago, something like that. But apparently he messaged pay, and he got an explanation of what Telegram was, and he gave it to the officer, and that's what you have there. There's a good point though by Pepsi Man. He says one of Rekieta's big streams was about the Warski Tonkasaur fight, and suddenly he's too good for internet bum fights. Yeah, like that's actually probably where I started watching Rekieta. Because back then, Rekieta's show was really small, and he would come on the kill stream and give like his legal takes, and he was doing also the Dick Masterson lol suit at that time, and that's like literally I think the first time. Like he brought Tonka on, and he was a bit of a bitch actually. Not Tonka, I mean Tonka was, but Nick was, because he was just baiting Tonka into saying he wanted to confront Andy in real life, and then Andy came on the stream. Now, don't get me wrong, it was very entertaining, but it was a very slimy, loyally move that Nick pulled there. It was great content, though. It was fantastic, because then Andy came on the stream, and they started yelling at each other, and that's when they got the fight. They're going to do the Knoxville knockout, and there's a very fun little clip of Nick where he's like, "Oh, you want to talk to Andy about this, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, well, here he is. And he lets him in the call. And then you just see Nick, like, I think he just does a thumbs up or something. I thought he had a cup of coffee, but he had a drink or something. But Nick just does like it's very funny. It's great television, but it was a bit of a slimy move. I mean, I was giggling all the way. I remember that day very clearly. It was a whiskey glass. Yeah, that makes better sense. That makes better sense. All right. We got a couple more things I wanted to go over here. Let's go over this one. We've got Ethan Van Sciver saying Nick Rekieta isn't a drug user. Interesting. Let's see. Or isn't a needle drug user, I should say. And watch this at 1.25 speed because I want to get through this.
Yellow Flash called Nick a junkie. I mean, which is like a junkie.
True. Nick is a junkie.
He would imply a junkie is what you call somebody who uses needles.
All right. Does anyone actually believe this? I have always just heard the term junkie for any addict of anything. Is there actually a distinction that you have to be using a needle? No. Everyone's saying no. A junkie is just an addict. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Now, I've never believed the injectables claim, just because I thought that if he was using injectables, then they would have found needles when they seized all his shit. But that's neither here nor there.
And there were rumors going around for a long time. I do want to remind myself and you of this. You know, when it comes to Nick, there were rumors that he was a needle user and that he had track marks in his arms. And, you know, I said, well, if there are track marks.
He had like bite marks or some shit, or scratch marks, because he just gets itchy and is constantly tweaking. So he's like got bugs under his skin and scratching. That's what I thought.
Marks in Nick's arms. He's on film a lot. You know what I mean? Like, he's on film all the time. You'd be able to see.
Junkie is a heroin
the same
addict.
way if there
I've
were
never
hickeys
heard
on
that.
my neck.
I've heard junkie described for everything that is an addictive substance.
And I was like out there cheating. You'd be able to see evidence of hickeys on my neck somewhere. Nick talks like this. Like you could pause it. You could see right here. That's where they would be. Up the forearm. You would see.
Does Nick talk like that? I don't think Nick talks like this. He does a lot of cope sips. That's about the only time you see his hands.
You'd see holes, you know, wounds. And somebody did pause it, and there looked like a couple of like mosquito bites. And Nick did say to me, Nick talks to me sometimes in private, very rarely. I think when it comes to like our friendship, you know, Nick has there's levels of friendship. Nick has A+ level friends, and then there are B level.
Wait, who are the A+ level friends? I guess not Kurt, because he didn't share any of his wives or any of his coke with Kurt. Kurt was very sad about that. Unfortunate.
Friends, and I'm a C level friend. He will talk to me. He'll send me messages. You know, he wants to interact with me, but I've never met him.
Barnes is an A level
you know,
friend.
We don't talk very much. I've been on his show maybe 8 times. He's been on my show dozens of times, especially back in the early Comicsgate days. But he did say to me, he says, Ethan.
Yeah, back when he was trying to grift from the comic book people, and back when Nick was planning to make his own comic book. Remember that? But I guess now they're not very useful to him, and he's just going to discard them, like he did with the anime people, right? He hates anime now, despite the fact that I think he owns like a DVD copy of Redo of the Healer, right? That's a weird thing to own as well, because that's like a very aggressively sexual anime, and all of the characters in that are like 15 and 14 and shit. But I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm a picker. I'm somebody who I get scabs and I pick them. Kind of just I'll scratch them and pick them off, and that's what those are. He said, Ethan, I'm not a needle drug user, and just the way he said that, I knew he was telling the truth. And people will just be like, you know,
it's true. It's true. Yeah, just believe the junkie. Okay, that seems like a great move.
A liar. It's like you can tell like lies from the truth. You know, you can just kind of tell. Like when somebody says,
you can just tell lies from the truth. Okay.
Ethan, like I am not a needle drug user. That's not what I do. I might be guilty of this other stuff, but I am not a needle drug user. Well, okay, all right, that makes sense to me. That's fine. You know, why would you even, like, if you were, why would you approach me about it to tell me that you weren't? Like clearly,
because he's got to control the narrative. It's a manipulation tactic. That's what he's doing. He has to set the record straight so that you'll broadcast it to your audience, and that they'll believe him, and they'll give him money eventually by becoming his fans. That's what's happening here.
Important to you that I know that you're not this thing. Like all these other things that I'm hearing about you are probably true, but this one thing that they're saying isn't true, and you want to let me know. And the other thing that Nick told me, like the first day, like the day he got home, he just said, my children were never in danger. You're going to hear a lot about that, but it drives me nuts. He's like, I want you to know, no matter what you hear, my kids were never in danger. And
does EVS believe that though? The kids were absolutely in danger.
I went, okay, at that point I hadn't heard anything else. It was brand new, the news.
So he believed it?
But he's like, it's going to get proven. You'll see. And he hasn't been able to talk about it, but he wanted me to know that. And when he told me that, I think he wanted me to tell other people that,
that's the only reason he told you that.
To know about him.
The kids were absolutely in danger. That is just an objective fact based on his behavior, based on his drinking late into the night and driving them the next day. Not enough time to clear this system from alcohol, just from being high around them and having this dangerous. I mean, the people, if you want to be degenerate and be in these weird like pollicles and shit, do it. That's fine. But don't do it when there's kids around, because that's typically how kids get exposed to dangerous people. It's from friends of the family in these weird sexual relationships. That's almost always when like abuse and I don't want to say the word, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. SA shit happens to kids from these sort of degenerate polycule shit. That's why just wait until you're like all your kids grow up and move out of the house and then be a piece of shit. All right. That's the way to do it. Like by Aaron's story, Nick went over to his house where there was a 3-year-old sitting on the couch. Next, Nick sat down and a cocaine bullet dropped out of his pocket next to the 3-year-old. Now, if you don't want to believe if you don't want to believe Aaron, that's fine. But we're supposed to believe Nick? This is a person that is not dangerous to children? They were absolutely in danger. The fact that they were okay is frankly a miracle. But anyway, that's
I don't know. No, I just don't know.
That's the EVS take. All right. Now here's the biggest dumb take of the night. We've got the Barnes. Better Call Barnes. And this one is a bit longer, but it'll round off the stream. This is called Viva Barnes, the news with the Rekietas, CPS, Omnibusin, LawTube, government, corrupt, August 25th. Let's have a look. The boss baby lawyer. I hadn't heard that one before.
What's the news with Rekieta?
So multiple aspects. So there are people that had certain factual conclusions about him that have been disproven by the fact that his kids have been returned to him, which doesn't happen if all those factual allegations against him were true. That's fact.
That's not true. That's not true. It hasn't happened yet. The courts often return CPS often returns children to dangerous environments. This is like the stupidest take I've heard from people that are on the Baldo team. Like, well, Nick got his kids back, so obviously that means it's all fake. No. Are you stupid? No.
That's part one. In this criminal case, a member of our board, a member of Rekieta's board, a member of some other boards, a good, conscientious criminal defense lawyer, brought motions challenging multiple aspects.
Oh, okay. So I should be mentioning here that this is Mr. White, Mr. Francis White. And as it turns out, the reason that Barnes is saying this is because this dude subscribes to Barnes' locals. So this guy is literally paying Barnes and Nick. That's how they actually found him. That's how Nick found someone that would actually bring his insane ideas to the court, is that he's actually a member of the locals. And he messaged him, or he made these comments directly after the arrest. Oh, here it is. Call me Nick on May 24th. And then he goes into his wild contested omnibus theories, which is just patently wrong. He says it would take you can't set the hearing for 2:45 because there's not enough time. The whole thing lasted like 30 minutes. Boomer. All right, let's continue. But it is worth noting that Francis White does pay Barnes because he loves Barnes so much.
Of the search and seizure. Fourth Amendment violations, Fifth and Sixth Amendment violations, and kind of a Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment hybrid violation. So the question is whether statements were coerced from witnesses in violation of their right to counsel and Miranda rights, whether or not the search was procured by fraud, and whether or not the execution of the search was overly broad. Somebody might have mentioned these issues right at the very beginning of the case. As
the government conspiracy. Oh my goodness, it's confirmed. We better call Barnes the Swiss mercenary lawyer.
Carrying out from the warrant. And a bunch of the so-called practicing lawyers on LawTube. By the way, if any practicing lawyer on LawTube is giving the kind of advice these people are on the Rekieta case, note to never hire them. The potentially criminal defense lawyer, the legal mindset that has very interesting travel patterns. The Nate the lawyer, go back to being a policeman, I think, or covering like women's soccer or something.
I will point out that potentially criminal commented on this, and he said, "Wow, I thought Nick was the king of cope," and that was pinned by Lissa with 263 likes. What do we remind ourselves that Barnes is famous for again? Oh, that's right. He was grifting for Wesley Snipes, got thrown off with that case. Tried to grift for the Covington kids. He got thrown off that. They actually had to ask him to stop pretending to be representing them on Twitter, and then he blocked them. I think he tried to get on the Rittenhouse as well. He's literally just a digital ambulance chaser. What he does is he finds a big high-profile case. He makes a big stink in support of the person that he wants to defend, like Nick, and he did this with Nick as well, on Twitter. And he's like, "I'm Barnes. I'm going to defend your Constitution. Better call Barnes." And then inevitably he gets thrown off because everyone hates him. That's what Barnes is known for. The actual grifting online. I don't know what potentially criminal Sean actually isn't a proper practicing defense attorney. I wager that potentially criminal has done a lot more legal work than Barnes has.
Uncivil law, God bless him. Stick to patent law, bro. Now, Good Logic's done great conscientious reviews. Don't always agree with him, but he's done very thorough, fair reviews.
Okay, so if your review is pro Nick, then you've got a good conscientious reviewer. Good to know. Good to know that's the standard for legal. You know these two remind me of? I just realized it. We've got Jabba the Hutt over here and Salacious Crumb, because that's all I ever see is that Barnes like running his gob, and then like Viva's just always giggling and that's what they are. That's what they are. I mean, it's a good duo to have like the serious guy and the fall guy, but that's what I'm going to call them from now on. It's Jabba and Salacious Crumb.
Most of the law tube has been utter crap on this. They've been like they made legal look sharp. That's how bad it's been. They made legal look sharp. So a little breakdown of this. So Rekieta's already won on the Fifth and Sixth Amendment issue. So as I suspected, I was like, I bet they did a lot of illegal crap during this case because the whole thing screamed it. It was like a case like this normally doesn't progress like this, doesn't proceed like this, doesn't read like this. If you've been around enough of these cases, if you've studied enough of these cases, you knew there were sirens going off and red flags everywhere. And it wasn't.
The only red flag is that when Nick had to go downstairs and ask Aaron for a blue pill because the Baldo wasn't going on well enough.
Hail Marys or special defense of Nick Rekieta or anything else. It was just any case I would look at and say, this case smells like a crap case. So a
crap case or a crack case?
The government has already conceded. Prosecution has already conceded that, yeah, we kind of Mirandized one of the witnesses. And yeah, they kind of asked for an attorney. And yeah, we kind of had another cop coerced testimony out of him. So yeah, we can't put that.
Everyone that I talked to seemed to think that it was unlikely that April's statements after she'd been Mirandized would have been put in. Even myself, as a non-practicing non-lawyer, could determine that. And then he's trying to say this is like some big W. They don't get to talk to their mistress after they were all arrested for having a big coke party. Oh my God. This is the big W. This is the big, Barnes was right all along. We'll see, buddy. We'll see.
Because he has confrontation clause rights that are independent. Some people think, unless it's your rights that are violated, you don't have standing. There's a whole bunch of circumstances, either through the confrontation clause or the due process clause, where you can find ways to raise third-party standing effective claims. That I won't go into all the intricacy of it, but there's a bunch of people that didn't understand that basic part. It's like, Lord have mercy. The government conceded it, didn't even fight it. Said, yep, no problem. Can't introduce those statements. The next set of issues was...
This is the big evil government that's setting up the conspiracy. The one that are saying in earnest that, you know what, we're not going to accept this because she was given her Miranda rights. This is the big evil county that is working together against Rekieta, that are in the pocket of Aaron and the Toe Bros. Interesting. I thought the corruption was ridiculous. Why are they holding themselves to these standards if they're all corrupt, just trying to get Nick out? Who can say?
As I also kind of predicted. So there's two ways to measure a warrant when you're reviewing it. And this basic thing, a lot of these law tubers can't get, these practicing lawyers can't get. No wonder they have like no history of criminal case success.
Was he going to say subscribers? Like he was like, no wonder they have no S. And I think it was going to be subscribers, but they have a lot of subscribers actually. That's a bit of a problem, I suppose. But like they actually do a lot of them do practice. I mean, I think that like he named 3 people, right? So Nate the lawyer, 4 people are. Nate the lawyer, uncivil law, legal mindset, and potentially criminal. Potentially criminal works as a lawyer currently, I believe, defense attorney. He's constantly working. Streaming is a hobby. Uncivil Law has a long history of, I believe, working in patent law, but is currently, I think, primarily a YouTuber. Nate the Lawyer, was Nate the Lawyer a prosecutor, or was that Emily DeBaker? Now, again, I believe that he's currently primarily a YouTuber. But these people all have very long histories of legal work. Legal Mindset is kind of a different story, though, because he worked mostly in corporate law. And now he's, well, I mean, you know, he's now the VTuber attorney, amongst other. Just giving him a bit of shit because he's a good friend, Legal Mindset, friend of the channel. But he did mostly corporate Disney work and stuff like that. So they all actually have these very long legal careers that don't include scamming the Covington kids and then banning people on Twitter because they disagree with your opinion. Mr. Barnes, better call Barnes. Nate was a policeman. Oh, there you go.
That anybody knows about. Which is, one is you assess the cop. Another is you assess the court. So, for example, when you're assessing whether or not there was probable cause for the warrant to issue, that is looking at what the judge did with what the judge said and what the judge knew. And that's based on what the judge was told. And that can be, it's misinterpreted as a deferential standard. It's still a constitutional standard, still federal. You get language and lingo like that, but there's also language and lingo that goes the other way. But there's a different way to challenge the warrant. And it's what I said from the get-go, which is you can challenge whether the cop told the truth. It's it's loosely after Franks versus Delaware called a Franks hearing. What it is, you tell the judge, hey, judge, there was information the cop had access to that he failed to tell the judge, and that's how he got the warrant. Mm-hmm. And what's amazing.
All right, we'll clarify. Apparently, Uncivil Law was a patent examiner, not attorney, but he works in patent law, is what I meant to say. All right, so this is Barnes's argument, is saying that like this Franks case idea, it was all his idea from the get-go. So I guess if it doesn't work, and it could work, you never know. I guess if it doesn't work, does that mean that we shouldn't take Barnes seriously anymore? Is that what he's going to say?
Is we don't even require, I think we should, but we don't require, we don't impose a negligence standard. So we don't say the cop with due diligence would have done boom, 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 boom. I think we should require that to meaningfully enforce the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, but we don't. We just say, don't lie. Don't make stuff up. Don't hide stuff. But everything about what this cop did screamed to me from the very beginning, before I'd even read the search warrant affidavit, just looking at the detention warrant, screamed that this cop is a liar. This cop is a fraud. And you don't have to love Nick Rekieta to care about Nick Rekieta.
You just know. You just know those evil people.
To see that, you just have to care about the Constitution of the United States of America and have a little bit of practical lawyering experience. And so turned out the cop lied about tons of stuff. So it turned out that Children's Protective Services had already told the cop what's being alleged does not constitute sufficient grounds to allege any kind of child abuse, least of all a crime. Do you think he included that when he mentioned it to the court? He just kind of forgot to put that in there.
Let me see. Barnes versus Legal Eagle. Who would you want as your lawyer? This is actually a very difficult question because I've seen Legal Eagle argue that Captain Marvel was a victim of assault when somebody touched her magazine. So Legal Eagle is very stupid, but he is also very successful. And he does have his own. He's basically the poster boy for his own law firm. But Legal Eagle does take these ridiculous takes. Like I've seen quite a few bad takes from Legal Eagle in my time. But the Captain Marvel one is perhaps the biggest one. And I think he said that just to get attention on the internet, more or less. But I don't know. Barnes versus Legal Eagle. That is Can I just take a plea deal? Just give me 10 years. I don't want to risk getting something worse by having either of them defending me.
The second thing, he knew that the weird dude up in Minneapolis had said all kinds of crazy stuff about Rekieta. He was citing him like he's a concerned citizen. And he just forgot to mention to the judge, actually, he's kind of a nut job, has been saying crazy stuff for 6 months.
Is that, I guess he's referring to Aaron? Yeah.
About Rekieta. And then the third part was he claimed, remember the videotape where he could magically tell what was and wasn't white powder as opposed to what is a flash reflection? And he knew from his special video insight that must be cocaine.
It was cocaine. So Nick had cocaine on his nose in a video. They went to his house and there was cocaine. They tested it and it came back positive as cocaine. So you can argue maybe he was a little bit improper in some of his search warrant, but he was right. He was absolutely right. It was Yes, it was.
Extraordinary. Even though all the behavior he then describes isn't consistent with taking cocaine.
Is it consistent of mixing cocaine with alcohol, though? Did you think about this, Mr. Barnes?
Which I said that screams BS off the plate. Well, of course, he didn't even get the original video. He lied about it. He said, "Oh yeah, I was watching the original video." No, he didn't even download it. What he did is he saw.
Actually, that's going to be clarified at the evidentiary hearing. So it could be the case that the officer actually did see the original video, but then when he went to get an archive of it, he got the wrong copy. We'll actually see how that plays out.
Saw somebody else talking about it on another video, and this was they discovered this going through the process. So
despite the fact that the videos are essentially identical in all. If you want to get like technical, then yes, when you download and re-upload a video, it does change it in some way. You can't observe something without changing it. Sure, I'll accept that as a logical argument, but in a practical argument, the content of the video is unchanged. And it can be verified compared to the original to prove this.
He hid the fact that he watched somebody else's video of something. There's video of me.
I mean, if I was a toe bro, I would hide that as well. Just kidding, Aaron.
Out there. With the people made AI memes of me saying all kinds of crazy things. They have me as Breaking Bad. They have me as, I mean, there's over 100 versions.
No, they didn't have you as Breaking Bad. They had you as Saul because you're a criminal, not a criminal lawyer, but a criminal lawyer. But this is what the fuck is this argument? Because someone re-downloaded or downloaded and re-uploaded a clip is tantamount to AI tampering. Anything could happen. Who can say? Computers these days, Your Honor, we don't know how they work. Did you see like Trump dancing with Kamala Harris? Doesn't make sense, does it? If that doesn't make sense, how can you acquit? How can you convict Mr. Rekieta if I could show you this video of Kamala Harris twerking on Donald Trump? It doesn't make sense.
Imagine some cop getting a warrant for my house because he watched that. And this guy, he lied about that. So what you request is what's called a Frank's hearing. And the prosecution, if they're worried or nervous that they might lose a Frank's hearing request, is they go in and they request, we need to have special briefing, judge, give us extra time, If they're confident, 90% of the time, they go into the court and say, nah, here's where they're wrong, boom, 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 let's move on. Instead, they go in front of the judge and we need extra briefing. Also, we need to figure out how we can try to pretend the cop didn't lie or try to get him to tell another lie, or I, the prosecutor, am thinking about how do I get out of this case. If a smart prosecutor uses this as an opportunity to get a plea deal on the table, to get a deal done. That's what a smart prosecutor does.
Kayla's been offered a plea deal, and I assume Nick has been offered a plea deal as well. Just because there's no record of Nick not getting one, there's almost certainly been received one already, so they do want to get this off the case. I don't think they want to waste time with Nick. I feel like he's just wasting time trying to run out the clock as much as he can. I assume that the plea deal will be taken the moment that his Frank's hearing doesn't go the way that he expected it to.
The 3 cases in drug arrest cases is pled out before the Court of Appeals ever hears of the underlying search warrant issues. Right? 1 out of 3 pleads, it gets outright dismissed.
One Punch Talkerman says, Aaron Imholte just asked Meme Copium why doesn't invite him on his live stream. I don't typically invite anyone on my live stream except my friends. I mean, if Aaron wants to come on, I'll have him on sometime. He's never talked to me. If he sends me a tweet, if he sends me a message or something on Twitter or my email, I'd be happy to talk to Aaron.
Right. So I mean, this is the.
I don't know what we talk about, because I think that like most of this stuff, we could just have a bit of a chuckle, perhaps. But the only thing I'm really curious about Aaron is I wonder if he has any information about Nick's trust fund, because it seems like I wonder if Nick would have bragged about that. So that's the only real question I would have is, has he ever heard any information about the trust fund? Specifically, is there anything that has to do with the artwork that Nick buys? Does he use his own money or does he use his parents' money? But again, that's kind of just a wild conspiracy theory that I have. Tudor Studio for 2 says, Barnes' mocking voice seems so childish. Well, I mean, he is the big baby lawyer, boss baby lawyer, I should say.
Case like this. But it turned out the cop was completely rogue. Lying, hiding information, fabricating facts, making up claims, intimidating, coercing other cops, intimidating, coercing witnesses in direct violation of the 5th and 6th Amendment.
Intimidating, coercing. What the fuck are you talking about, Barnes? What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Right. And then last but not least, they seized all the guns. Well, there's a little problem. There's no reference to guns in the warrant. The cops had been there at the home previously and had supposedly been following him as a regular follower on his video channel, so they knew he had guns, but they didn't request that the court.
No, wait, this is just not true. The cops had been to Nick's house prior because he had been swatted previously. This does not mean that they knew that Nick had guns or that they had seen that he's had guns. Now, Nick has talked about having guns before, but this is an amazing leap in logic that just does not track Mr. Barnes. I'm afraid I have to object to this.
From the court to seize those. Why? Because they didn't have any evidence it was connected to any criminal activity. Why? Because it might trigger a red flag in a small rural county. Hold on a second. You want to go grab somebody's guns? What's going on here? So, but what do they do when they get there? They're like, yeah, we're just going to grab it. And they grab random stuff, by the way. Well, there's a word for that or phrase for it. It's called general warrant. And it's called, otherwise known as, for all the constitutionally illiterate practicing lawyers out there, unconstitutional. It's why the Fourth Amendment exists, to get rid of general warrants. Now, here's how cops have been trying to get away with this for years. They get a specific warrant, say we're going to get this, 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 and this. And then they go in and they say, oh, it's in plain view. I just saw it. Well, of course, that is basically, as courts started to figure out, hold on a second, that would be meaning you have a general warrant. I give you a warrant for something particular, but anything you see while you're in there you can take, that's a general warrant, which is exactly what the Fourth Amendment is supposed to always prohibit.
Let me see. So why are the police conspiring against Nick? Just because, okay, shut up. Just because. Because they are okay. Because he said some mean things about him on the internet, okay? Don't think for yourself, chatter. They're just conspiring against Nick because they are. That is the Barnes argument, I would assume.
It has to be particular with what it describes as to what is searched and what is seized. And so that was problematic. They seized all the guns, charged them with things related to the guns. The problem is they had no basis to seize the guns.
Actually, they did. And a lot of lawyers have said this. They were in plain view. It seems like under the bed, and the bed was unmade. They could see them pretty easily when they were looking for drugs in his house. And being intoxicated, having these illegal substances, and having the guns in your house is a crime. So they seized the guns. It's pretty simple, actually. Pretty simple. Funny how that works. Now, I guess we'll have to wait till Nick has his day in court. Maybe he does get all thrown out. I guess there's always a chance of that. But this is just, oh my goodness. The Barnes walking is getting too much at this point. Drew Studio with another 2 says, I'm getting a Tells conspiracy vibe from Barnes. Who's Tells? I mean, he has suggested there's a conspiracy, but I don't know who the Tellus friend is.
Weren't related to they knew about it before and didn't even request it seizure, didn't get approval from the warrant, and it wasn't connected somehow. They didn't see, I see the gun connected to this somehow.
Did they seize his Baldo? No, if they found that, then it would have been the death penalty immediately. That would be summary execution for having that in your house. So I guess Nick was hiding it up his asshole or something at that time.
That makes it a nexus to the underlying criminal activity that you're allowed to search in, because that's the limitation they impose on plain view, which means all of the gun-related charges have to be thrown, and the enhancements would have to be thrown out. So he's got robust constitutional issues. Now, who knows with a state trial court judge?
Robust constitutional issues. Robert Barnes, simping for the Constitution for a quarter of a century.
9 out of 10 are in the pocket of the prosecutor, and they're complete wusses and not willing to enforce the Constitution when it comes to these issues. So that there's always that issue. But if you're the prosecutor, do you really want to keep going forward on this case, which is for the cases you typically have at the bottom of the pile, frankly?
No, because continuing with this case means you have to interact with Nick more, and that's incredibly frustrating. So that's why they probably give him a pretty sweet deal. Just don't tell us any more of your legal arguments, and we'll let you go for the community service. You can pick up trash for an afternoon, okay? Just shut up, Nick. Just shut up. Don't subject me to any more Barnes videos. I can't take it. Steel Toe is more famous than Rekieta in Minnesota. Not even joking. I mean, prior to this event, sure. I mean, Nick would be all over the news now. It does seem like there's a pretty strong contingent of toe boys in Minnesota, though. Very funny to see that the one guy that Ralph talked to was a toe bro.
So somebody liked the party a lot? That's
Freya's making more sense than Barnes. That's because he hasn't said anything the entire stream. So that does check out. That is rated as true.
That's your big crime. I mean, come on. If you're a local prosecutor, you're dealing with real crimes. No, not this, minor stuff. So smart prosecutor dumps this case and doesn't have Fourth Amendment law that embarrasses the entire police department, embarrasses the entire prosecutor, potentially embarrasses the judge. That's what a smart prosecutor would do. But I don't know if they got a smart prosecutor up there.
Did they? But now I remember in the original charging.
No, Viva, don't say anything. You're going to ruin your record.
documents, or at least we got additional documents, it said that the way they got to the felony amount of the cocaine or whatever it was, 25 grams, was by including the packaging. Have they reduced that, or is there?
They added that. They haven't. At some point, they're going to have to reduce that dramatically as well. So a lot of the charges.
Dramatically, I don't know about dramatically. Maybe a couple of grams out of what the 25 that they found. Now, yeah, that may reduce it from a felony level to a misdemeanor level of cocaine, but I don't know how much this packaging is going to hold up, boys. A little. How much can a baggie weigh? How much can a baggie weigh?
Are already coming off because his kids are already back, which meant those things are all claims are all crap. The guns should be thrown out, so that means that's all crap, and the enhancement's all crap. The measurement was always crap, so they have other issues. I'm sure there's probably other evidentiary defenses, but the problem is the cop lied repeatedly to get the warrant. If you take out, so what's materiality? Materiality is, why did they put it in the warrant? This is how I always respond. When I've dealt with these issues in front of judges. Said, Judge, if it didn't matter
Perhaps
to the warrant, then why was it in the warrant?
Makes sense.
Right, and so 9 times out of 10, if it's in the
like
warrant, it's material to the warrant.
Like the evidence in the New York case.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you take out
2 pounds,
and, I mean, there's other stuff they haven't even got into yet that's problematic in the warrant. But this is just, did the cop lie? And it's just requesting an evidentiary hearing. Say, let's have an evidence. Let's put the cop on the stand. Let's get the evidence and let's see what happened. Did he lie or not, Judge? You get to assess him. You're here every day. He grants him that hearing. If you're a prosecutor, you look at this file. There's no way you let that dimwit get up on the stand. You let a cop that's so dumb he lied about stuff they could prove with things that were sent in the mail. Never.
To be fair, if the cop was looking at COGS videos, then he probably shouldn't be working as a police officer, and he probably should go and get tested for retardation. We'll have to see about that.
In writing, always in cash. This cop clearly forgot that lesson. It's amazing. Corrupt cops love their prints. They write this stuff, but they put it in emails and other communication. They're just because they convince themselves of their fraud and their lies. You've got a completely crooked cop here, and you've got multiple crooked cops because there were other crooked cops at the scene doing illegal things. So you got multiple levels of crooked cops, and someone's going to convince me it's a total coincidence that the person being targeted is one of the biggest critics of the local law enforcement community. Come on, I mean, what world do you people live in? You don't.
Does this sound like a conspiracy? Oh my goodness! It's just a coincidence. Little bit of coincidences there.
I believe in tentacular conspiracies.
I know, Salacious Crumb, he can't take anymore. I think that'd be a pretty good Photoshop. Like Barnes as Jabba, and then like Viva as Salacious Crumb. That'd be pretty good, I think.
An opportunity to screw somebody that had been a pain in their rear, and they decided to do so. It's simple as math. That's why I live in Vegas, but don't practice law in Vegas. I don't want these boys knocking on my door. So I'm careful where I come out. I parachute in like a mercenary, and I get back to my Swiss mountains. There
you go. He's got the Swiss mercenary defense. He's a Swiss mercenary of legal professionals, even though all lawyers are kind of mercenaries because they work for money and they zealously defend their clients. But no, he's a Swiss mercenary that defends the Vatican. So there's a very funny video of Barnes where he's got this turtleneck sweater on, and he's obviously doing a parody, but he's talking about the Swiss mercenary method of legal defense, which is what he practices. I don't know if it's very cringe. I'll tell you that. It's kind of like a parody of the meme of like, I don't always drink, but when I do, it's yada yada. It's like that one. Continuing anyway, we're almost done with this.
But it's clear that this has crooked cops written all over it. And if you're a smart prosecutor, do you let that crooked cop be an idiot? God knows what dumb lie he's going to make up.
You know what's a great defense for crooked cops? Body cam footage. Because nothing disinfects like sunlight. If only we could see it.
This guy was dumb enough to lie about things there's written proof of. So if you're a smart prosecutor, you get out of this case now. You finish this, conclude this, write this up. But I don't know if they're smart enough, so we might get to see these crooked cop embarrass himself right on the stand.
Yeah, we just might. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Let's see if there's any choice comments in this video, apart from Sean's one that was pretty good. For the record, cops did find drugs as they predicted. Spoiler alert. I've lost so much respect for these two. Enablers are nearly as bad as the addicts they make excuses for. These two have lost all semblance of their integrity by how they've been baldo washing, i.e. Barnes insinuating that Andrew lives in Asia for sexual deviance reasons, while Viva smirking and nodding along. Interesting. Barnes did mention he lives in Vegas. That's a weird place to live if you don't work in Vegas, but you live in Vegas. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you're going to insinuate that because someone lives in a weird location, that means they're a weird boy, there's a lot of weird shit going on in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, Mr. Swiss mercenary man. But there is there. What does Barnes always say? What's his catchphrase? projection, admission by projection, I should say. He's a giant gambler. Well, would you take Nick as a as a gamble? I wouldn't. That's a bit too risky for my blood. I don't get why lying liars who lie are so smug. Makes it so obvious. Interesting. Your Honor, you can't trust this re-upload because it has watermark. Then where's the original? It's privated on my YouTube channel. The state hasn't subpoenaed Google. All right, let me just add obstruction of justice to the charges. I don't think that'll happen, but it would be very funny. Nick would just give the information over if requested in discovery, I believe. I don't think he's so far gone that he wouldn't just be reasonable on that account. Where should we? Where's a good one? We'll leave it. I'll go like this. Alrighty. So I think that's about the end of tonight's stream. It was a bit of a fun one, beginning to the week. There's a couple things happening this week, by the way, that I should mention. So on Friday, we might be having a fun little chain together stream with Max and BP. We suggested that last week. Now everyone else has also played Chain Together, so it makes it look like we're copying them, but we thought about it first. Actually, no, we didn't. Everyone on the internet thought about playing that. So that maybe looking at doing that on Friday. Thursday, I think is going to be, we're going to have a premiere video. It's going to be the first 8 episode review videos I made 2 years ago on Rings of Power. Because Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, Amazon series is coming back on Thursday, American time, I think. So I want to refresh my memory before I start making those videos, because I will be making new videos on this channel. I know it's hard to believe. Not just streams. So that should be coming up on as a watch party on. So it'll be like a stream. But it'll be all 8. It's like an hour long, basically. So we'll watch that together, have a few chuckles. You can watch them now if you want on my channel, actually, but it'd be more fun to watch it with other people watching. Wednesday, that's tomorrow. I'm not sure what we're doing Wednesday, but there should be streams for the rest of the week and a premiere. And then Lord of the Rings review videos. More stream. What do you want me to stream about, though? Have you got any topics to suggest? Hopefully the typhoon went... Oh, shit. Is there a typhoon heading this way? Shit. Why not play Dustborn instead? Dustborn? Check the sector for a short Kino video. The sector? Nick says, Daddy, no. This one? I think if I play these, I'll get copyright strikes, though. Except for this one. This one. It's only 3 seconds. We'll watch this one.
Daddy, no!
That aged really badly. This clip aged really badly. Rekieta's kids, when he sends their food money or spends their food money on coke. Yeah, so this used to be a meme in the sector, but Nick he stopped doing it because he was sad about, sad things happening to kids. But then I guess he, did what he did. It's going to be a bad one. Please play the Bossman video. Oh my gosh, what is this? Hold on. How long is this?
And it's not there's anything.
Let me preview it first. Let me preview this. It's 9 seconds. Okay. Okay. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with this video, but it's very funny. This is in my Discord, which you can gain access to by joining as a YouTube member. So it's just this saying there's nothing wrong with homophobia.
There's anything wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with homophobia at all, and I want y'all to know that I have nothing against people at all.
But look at the state of this house. Holy shit! This is the funniest part. Oh my goodness! I haven't seen Bossman in ages because he got banned from every other channel or everything he was on. I've never seen this angle before. So you've got the door is still off the hinges. The door is still off the hinges. There's still a hole where he's punching the wall. It seems that he's taken his fist to this wall as well. It looks like he's been hiding a dragon dildo here or something. I don't know. And there's more parts in the plaster. It's very, very interesting angle. We'll have to check in Bossman another time, but people get People get really grumpy when Bossman comes up for some reason. Who can say? Who can say? He's back on Twitch. He was re-educated. Oh, that's good. His wall has cats coming out. Yes, exactly. Let's give us not sure. All right, guys. If we've got the cat, the ceiling cat as an emoji, and the dog face as an emoji, which emojis would you vote out? Because we need like 100 more members or something to get to unlock another emoji. Because YouTube is being silly this time, and it says that I need 5 more memberships to unlock another emoji. But when I checked against their actual requirements, it looks like because we've got 20 emojis already. So that means the next emoji is unlocked at 300 members, and we're not anywhere near 300 members right now. So it's like 100 members away. It's quite a jaunt. So if we had to get rid of some of the current emojis, what would you get rid of? Maybe the emus on the chopping block. Maybe the 3.5% on the chopping block. The Twitch frogs. We could get rid of a Pepe. We do have a lot of Pepes. Which one to get rid of, though? Not the 3.5. Maybe the meme emoji, but that's me. Oh my goodness. What are we gonna? We'll have to do like a celebrity survivor of the memes or something. Maybe we'll let Friday people decide. The Friday people, the Friday show where we have a few games, we have a few drinks, we have a few laughs. I think that crew, because they are responsible for the majority of the members, can decide. He's trying to purge the 3.5%. What is that? Oh, look how new you are. Look how new you are, my friend Brad. That is a reference to the delicious beverages that I sometimes drink. But who can say, keep the meme lol Pepe? Oh, man, it's hard. Alternatively, somebody can just drop like 300 memberships so I can get 2 more emojis unlocked on this channel. That is also the alternative. But we'll have to see about that at some other time. I don't think there's anything else of interest to talk about tonight. So we'll go very quietly into that sunset in just a few seconds. But I'm just hanging out with the chat for a few more minutes. Having a bit of a chat. Of course, you can always suggest topics on YouTube as a commenter, or on Twitter, or on email. Is anyone interested in streaming? It doesn't seem that is the case, so I cannot restream to anybody. How sad. How sad. Wait, hold on a second. Let me check one person. I can't see anyone streaming. Lesbian Space Witches. They got cancelled. I guess I could check on that. Let me see. Hold on. You need a whale? Whale. I do need a whale. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. I could go through my folder. I've got like a folder of stuff. This is one thing. This is one adventure that I was thinking about doing with Max. But I think we'll probably talk about this later in the week as well. But I found, and I think Sam would be interested in this if she's still in the chat. Because this applies to anyone in Osaka. We found a pub that is possibly the grimiest pub in Japan. It is possibly the cheapest pub in Japan. They have 1 yen bottles of sake. Look at this place. Look at this place. I know it's hard to see, but look at this place. 1 yen. 1 yen sake. That is less than a cent. It's hot or cold, Atsukan. And I think it's like Tabun, Ichiban Japan Yasai. So it's the cheapest bar in all of Japan. It actually looks pretty good. Like, I don't understand. Like, me and Max are trying to figure out the secret here. Is this like a money laundering scheme? Was it like a Yakuza place where they'd like, it's just to like hide their things or some shit? There's bikinis on the wall. It looks all right. It doesn't look bad or anything. It's got like octopus. And they've got like, their menu has like crocodile hands. Like literally, like it's got literal raw crocodile hands or some shit. Sulfur liver? This is like a 20, like they've got like frog legs, it looks like as well. It actually looks pretty good. It's got crickets. You can eat the bugs. You can eat the bugs at this restaurant. Candied grasshoppers. Oh my goodness. 1 cent. How big are the bottles? It's an Atsukan bottle. Sorry, hold on a second. It's like this. So it's like this size bottle. So it's like a cup, a big cup bottle. but you drink them in small sake cups. It's for 1 yen. I don't understand this. What the fuck does this guy's shirt say? Nyan pasu? What the fuck? I don't understand this. This is like a mystery. This is like some sort of trick. I don't know. I feel like you go in here and you get robbed. But we might make a video, Max and I, exploring the grimiest one pub. 1 yen pub. And the sign even looks rusty. That's the thing as well. Look at this. Look at this sign. There's like rust on the sign. This is an interesting find, my friends. I have never seen it. I've never seen a bar like this in Japan. It is quite an enigma. It keeps just saying maybe the cheapest bar in Japan, and you can get fish there. Do you want to eat fish from the cheapest bar in Japan? No, it's not a happy ending place. I think it's a sad ending place. That's why the drinks are so cheap. They got milk. Wait, let's see the menu. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. They've got a alligator's hand deep fried for 700 yen. That's like $5. How do they afford? Like, they would have to import crocodiles into Japan, slaughter them, and then sell them for these cheap prices. This just doesn't make any fucking sense. This entire place just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yuck. No, I thought it's supposed to be delicious. Stream there and brag about it like Ralph. I did that on Twitter the other day. I went and got sushi, and then I said 5-star days. Imagine eating this good. It was really good though, actually. It was like I got this sushi. If you follow me on Twitter, which you probably should, this whole meal with the green beer, the green matcha green tea beer, the entire meal set was about $23 for some delicious sushi, tempura, some soba with bukake. That's what the bukake just means, to put stuff on top. That's what this is over here. These like cookie things. That's bukake. And then a green beer. And I was like, yeah, imagine eating this good, 5-star days. So I actually did do that. That's such a, like, Ralph is actually an iconic person though. That's the thing. Like, there's something about his voice. There's something about his mannerisms. Even though he's a piece of shit and his life is falling apart, and like he may just be decaying in real time, he is very iconic in the things that he says. And like, cats don't fold the bullshit. How could you come up with something like that? That is just so funny. But look at this menu. It's a metal rusting menu. This just doesn't make sense. You can get a shrimp for 99 cents. All sorts of shit. I'm not sure I want to eat fish that's cheap though. And then they have karage with the big mayonnaise on it that the Japanese people love. This is crazy. You can get an oden egg, like a boiled egg for 99 yen. What the fuck is going on here? There's something wrong about this place. I don't know what's going on here. It has to be like money laundering or a personal project or something. There's something going on with this place. It's like cursed. And if you go in there, it steals your soul or something. I don't know. There's deviled eggs in there, sure, for sure. That's like the white person sushi, according to iDubbbz. Do they have illegal immigrants? No, it's like a Japanese place. It's in Tenma. It's like apparently there's a lot of good places to go drinking. This is what it looks like. We're on the part of the stream where I just walk around on Geoguessr. It's a bit of a dirty area. I will say that about this area. It's very grubby. Japan is typically very clean, but this area is a little bit grubby. It's very Osaka. Very Osaka. You've got graffiti and stuff there. They steal your organs? Maybe. I assume that's how to do it. Did you stream COG? Did you stream COG covering Ralph? I feel like I'm a weird loop. I didn't stream that, but I did see it. It was very funny. Because COG got very upset and I was just having a giggle. In fact, this is my response to COG. If he is a problem with me not factually reporting the evidence.
The following tale is true, and by true, I mean false. It's all lies, but they're entertaining lies. And in the end, isn't that the real truth? The answer is no.
Show us? That would require watching COG, which I'm not willing to subject my audience to. But you can see it for yourself on COG's Twitter. But he was very upset. Bro, check Discord. Okay, I'll have a look at Discord. Xkimmer with another 50 coronas says, when are you taking the IQ test you said you would take a year ago? I said I would sell the IQ test. So I have to get two $500 super chats in one stream to do the IQ test. Because obviously it's a mistake to do it. So the only reasonable smart move to do is to make it a price that nobody's going to pay. But if I so get two $500 super chats in one stream, I will do the IQ test. So there you go. But the question is, you have to deploy it at the right time. Because you have to wait till I'm like drunk or something, because then it's going to be even funnier. And you have to get you need like two whales working together. And it's priced so unreasonably because I don't want to do it, because I know it'll be embarrassing. Even if I get a good result, people are going to make fun of me either way. What is this? Lol, you think COG is beneath you? He lives in government housing. Oi, I may be stealing food from the grocery bin in me local, what are they shopping over there? My local Woolies. But at least I'm not beneath that meme copium. Actually, that is the one thing that he said that was kind of funny. He was like, I was expecting more integrity from this meme copium person. That's the #1 name in integrity and reporting. Tesco? Yeah, Tesco. Oh, look at that. Look at those sales. He has no toilet for him to shit in. Yes. Now, the funny thing about COG is that he's just so angry all the time for some reason. Like he takes things so seriously. It's the internet. Have a bit of a chuckle. Have a bit of a giggle, my friend. You'll live longer. Although maybe if I lived in that house, I wouldn't want to live longer. Who could say? Well, it's like a fun little walk through Osaka. You also have a stupid accent. Oh no, the Brits are in chat. They're calling me up. Oh, is this you, COG? Is this one of your alternative things? Oh my goodness. He got so mad at the clog dressing comment, which is oh no, now I feel like we have to. I don't know. We'll have to see it. Also, Carlitos, welcome to new member. Much appreciated. I'll put up a new link to the Discord after the stream. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now we're in the good part of Osaka. I thought we were. Oh, where's the scummy reason? Blimey, governor. You Commonwealth filth. You think you're better than me? I may have to go to the Tesco's to use the toilet and steal the toilet paper, but at least I have integrity in reporting. These YouTube people not reporting factually accurate curry recipes on my channel. Absolutely disgusting. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Japan still clean. Is this clean? This is like a dirty street in Japan. This is about as bad as it gets over here, honestly. Invite COG? Nah, I don't think we'll do that. COG needs to put his hours in. He has to go work in the coal mines, the coal streaming mines, and earn his way up to come on my little hobby channel where I just have a giggle. Oh dear. And we're about to end the stream, lads. The Battle of the Accents. The funny thing is, I will say this. Like, if you guys want to see it, then go over to COG's Twitter. I think it's called COG's World. It is a little bit of... It is funny. It is funny, I will say. Because I'm in it. Not that COG's in it. But he watches the video, and at the end of it, he's like, this meme copium person is a homosexual. And I was like, what the fuck? That's just... I thought Brits were known for being like clever, having like dry wit, like backhanded comments. And he's like, look, I may dress up as an Indian woman to cook curry, but he's a homo. It's like, well, a big W for the COG bros out there, the cognificent thought people. Oh my goodness, COG walk incoming? I don't think so. He should be thanking me for reinvigorating. I don't think the Kino Casinos mentioned him in years. And now he's back on the menu, so good for him, I suppose. Nah, but I'm always willing to have a giggle with people if they want to come and have over a drink in Osaka. That'd be fun. if you can afford the flight, of course. Maybe one day when he puts his hours in. But with that said and done, that's going to be the end of the stream, guys. Hope you have a nice one. It was a bit of fun. There should be still looking for a topic for tomorrow, but the rest of the week I've got planned out. So with that said and done, peace. Have a good one. Stay safe out there. Cheers.
チーズ、ラッキー、さあゲットします